All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour one of Jon and Jim here until 6 p.m. Calm before the storm. San Diego State in the Mountain West Tournament tomorrow afternoon in a gotta-have game against Boise State at 2:30 that you can hear right here on San Diego Sports 760. Speaking of the Aztecs, Sean Lewis, Aztec football coach, spring practice underway. He will join us at 5 p.m. Kevin Acee from Peoria, where the Padres are once again playing today. Kevin Acee, our Padres insider, will join us at 5:30, and we'll get you ready for this Mountain West tournament coming up in Vegas with Jeff Grammer from the Albuquerque Journal. He'll join us at 2:30, but let's start the show here because if you want to go see San Diego FC this weekend, you just mentioned this midweek live show. What's the name of the show?
SDFC Midweek Live.
So that debuts tonight.
Debuts tonight with Adrian and Darren.
If you want to win tickets for Saturday's match against Columbus, be listening for the sounder. Do we have the sounder? Do we want to use it as an example here, Brent? Do we have the sounder to play? This is
San Diego FC.
So don't call now, but the next time you hear that, call 877-767-4760, and one caller will be qualified every hour for a chance to win tickets to see San Diego FC on Saturday night. We'll qualify 4 listeners today. One of you will be the grand qualifier, and then you'll listen on Friday to find out if you're going to the match with 2 free tickets. So be listening for that sounder. San Diego FC back home Saturday night, 7:30 p.m. And if you're looking for more on the team, you can hear it tonight at 6 p.m. with Darren and Adrian Garcia Marquez.
Yeah, the debut of SDFC Midweek Live. I'm excited to listen to that after our show. So yeah, exciting times, man.
We're just going to preempt Odd Couple like that?
Oh, man.
I mean, last night, no Odd Couple. We had the WCC final.
Which was a
Tonight,
good game, too, by the way.
Was it a good game?
Well,
tell me why you say it's a good game. I'm very curious why you said that. Because I have a reason. I'll have a reaction. So Gonzaga, St. Mary's, because it was a close game?
I think because Gonzaga won.
Okay, so it was a good game because Gonzaga won. The reason I say it, you know what the 2 teams shot from 3?
Well, the way you say that, I'm going to say not well.
1 for 31.
Is that good?
No, I've never heard of that. Gonzaga?
1 for 31?
1 for 31 in that game, but you're right, Gonzaga. So remember, I've spent the entire week doing everything in my power to make sure a bid is not stolen from San Diego State, right? That's all I care about.
Is that a bid stealing game last night?
That's the thing. I was able to rest easy.
Yeah.
I'm sitting there on like a Saturday night watching Drake in the Missouri Valley Conference as if my life is dependent on Drake beating, I don't even know who they played.
What is wrong with you?
Belmont or Marshall or University of Phoenix Online or whoever they were playing.
Does Kristen,
she gets,
how does she deal with
She
this?
doesn't. I wake up in the middle of the night, 3 a.m. I check like my podcast to see if there's any update on like bracketology. I have a problem.
You do.
I have
you came
a problem,
in today,
dude.
and the first thing you said is, "Oh, what's the Texas score? I need to know what the Texas score is."
Hold on, let me ask.
I'm like, why?
Hey Siri, what's the score of the Texas men's basketball game?
It's on like speed dial on his phone right now.
Oh my gosh, Texas is up 15.
Now, do you want Texas to win?
No, I want Texas to lose because they're right behind the Aztecs on the bubble. So this is what it's like to be on the bubble. I mean, Selection Sunday is 96 hours away. I'm counting.
Of course you are. 97 hours from now, 3 p.m. Pacific on Sunday. Who's counting? We're going to find out if San Diego State's going to the tournament or not. So let's start there. They can take care of it themselves, but so can every team. I mean, every team can play their way in. Easier said than done. Or if you don't win the Mountain West tournament, you're reliant on the committee. Now, I think you look at it today, and San Diego State is sitting in a good spot, not a perfect spot. I think they cement their spot in the tournament by winning on Thursday, tomorrow, with Ted Leitner on the call, right here on San Diego Sports 760. I think if they don't win Thursday, how am I supposed to sleep between Thursday and Sunday? Don't sleep.
Just don't sleep.
Just don't sleep.
Stay up.
Just stay up. Don't sleep. Stay downstairs. Have your laptop open. Have your TV on as many screens possible.
Be watching the A10 quarterfinals from like Brooklyn.
Right. Yeah. Get on your computer. Have, steal Kristen's computer. Use her computer as an extra screen. Maybe you can play something. Yeah. Maybe you can play something on your phone as well.
Thank you, Brent. You just put the Texas Vanderbilt game on.
Oh, great.
I'm sorry, Vanderbilt. You're in Nashville. Okay. Show up.
Oh my gosh.
Jeez. Anyway,
you have a problem, my guy.
No, it's not that. It's just that this team. I mean, they've gotten this far. Like, you just want to see it finished off.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, they've gotten this far.
And when you look at all the, projections and the bubble watches, right?
I've been looking.
Of course you have. You know everything.
There's not one thing that you have not seen.
You could send me something from anywhere on the internet. I'm like, I've seen it.
Yeah, exactly. San Diego State and Boise are two teams that are, I guess, in more people's bubble watch than not.
Sure. Yeah, I agree with that.
And so with them playing each other tomorrow afternoon, you kind of feel like it's not a whoever wins that game is getting into the tournament, but whoever wins that game has a very good chance to punch their ticket on Sunday, right?
Yes, I would agree with that. I think San Diego State has a better spot with a win to be in than Boise State, because I think Boise State is behind San Diego State right now in those brackets.
Yeah, well, San Diego State has the better resume.
Right, exactly.
They have the better wins on their resume.
Yep.
They've beaten Boise twice this year.
Yep.
So that should matter.
Absolutely.
But
Completely
again,
agree.
anything could change. And if you're getting this upset about, hey, look at Vanderbilt's down by only 13 now.
They were down by like 12 a minute ago.
Oh, I thought they were down by 15.
Listen to this. So earlier today, this is where my level of obsession is right now. Listen to this. So Arkansas is on.
Oh my! We're talking about
But
Arkansas.
no, it's not the point.
Arkansas.
The point is I'm rooting for these teams to lose.
It's 2-8, and we're already talking about Arkansas.
But hear me out. So they were up 20. So I'm like, oh, it like ruined my day. Then all of a sudden I'm on Twitter like, South Carolina's making their run. I raced to the SEC network.
Of course you did.
I turn it on. They're down 1 with the ball. They had come back from 20 down. They're down 1 with the ball in the same site at the SEC tournament.
Yep.
And then they completely unravel. They look like they've never played basketball before. And I feel like it was my fault because I threw it on. Which is why I tried to keep you away from Viejas last week.
Are we done talking about Arkansas and Texas?
We're not talking about Arkansas and Texas. We're talking about bracketology and the bubble.
But we're also talking about Arkansas and Texas.
Well, you want to talk about Arkansas and Texas, or you want to talk about Gavin Sheets?
I like me some Gavin Sheets,
Have
bro.
more of our listeners heard of Gavin Sheets or the state of Arkansas?
I would venture
say
to guess
Arkansas.
probably not Arkansas.
I don't know, man. We get in the weeds. We're asking Darnay Tripp to name his top 6 bench pieces.
Okay. We're not asking Darnay Tripp to name his top 6, 1,000 bench pieces.
Yes, we are actually. We asked that yesterday.
You did, actually.
We did ask that yesterday. But this is what happens when you're 2 weeks away from opening day and
You got the
Padres
B-squad out there.
Yeah, I mean, look at this lineup, dude. I'm telling you right now, most people that own season tickets to the Padres would look at this lineup and not know the first names of this lineup. Correct?
Probably.
Hosey.
Is Hosey in there?
That's with like all due respect. I don't know the first name of half these guys.
It's not like the end all. I mean, Hosey's in there.
Hosey's.
Ornelas is in there. Gavin Sheets,
honest,
Connor Joe, Eggy Rosario, Luis Campusano, Oscar Gonzalez, Tyler Wade, Brandon Lockridge. There you go.
That's
Named
a
all the
good way
names.
not to win any games.
Well, it's the Cactus League, Johns. Who cares?
You and I, this is our job. I'm telling you right now, if I went to Petco Park and randomly surveyed everyone there, hey, what's Lockridge's first name? 8 out of 10 people would have no clue. Yeah.
Bro, why are you so mad about a B squad game?
I'm not, but I'm saying
against
like
the Rockies on a
but
Wednesday.
My point is, I think it's more relevant
in March.
It's more relevant to our listeners' selection Sunday than it is Brandon Lockridge going to make the team.
It's not about Brandon Lockridge.
Because it's not about Brandon Lockridge?
It's more about Gavin Sheets today.
Exactly.
Today's the Gavin
Same
Sheets
thing.
day of the week, right?
He's got a career -3 WAR.
But he's balling out in the spring.
What did he do today?
Well, the day's not over yet, but he's over 2 with the RBI, John.
Well, I just saw in play, no out for the Rockies, so I'm worried. They've taken the lead. Is there anything worse as a sports fan than in play, no out against your team?
You are right about that.
Is there anything worse than that?
Or in play, run, parentheses, S.
comma S, or in parentheses S is the absolute worst.
You're like, what happened?
Dude,
and then it takes a
I can't
solid
tell
2
you how
minutes.
many times I've been reading a book to Jones and I'm looking at my Gamecast or whatever. Yeah. And it says in play runs. I'm like, they're really losing in the first inning.
And you wait for the update.
Is it 1-0?
Of what happened?
Infield single or was it a grand slam?
Yeah, you can probably guess if there's nobody on and it says in play run, parentheses
Probably
S.
a home run.
Yeah, home run.
How else would you score?
Right. There have been times where that's happened and there would be like 2 outs and then it'd be like a crazy long paragraph of what happened. And I'm like
ball thrown away down the right field line.
You're like, how did this happen?
So true, dude.
Anyway.
So true.
Oh, they trailed 2-1. Yeah. Season's over, I guess. You're
That's
right.
what I'm saying.
How about that? Yeah.
So again, when you're 2 weeks out from opening day, and give me say it right now, put you on the spot. The biggest story right now in Padres camp, according to Jim Russell, is exactly.
Well, you didn't give me a chance to finish.
Because I know what you're going to say.
What is it?
Gavin Sheets emergence here in the middle of March, and is he going to be their top bench piece?
Wrong.
Okay, what is it? Fifth starter.
No, wrong.
Okay, what is it?
It's the stupidest thing ever.
Okay.
And it's also the most important thing ever. It's health. Okay. I know it's not a story, but
it's all 30 teams.
I know it's not really a story that you can talk about every day. Like, are they healthy?
Right.
But if they come out of spring fully healthy, that's great. That's what I want to see. We know who the top 4 starters are in this rotation. The 5th starter to me doesn't feel like at the end all be all. I think it's Stephen Kolek. You might think it's somebody else. If it is somebody else, doesn't really bother me much. The bench, if it happens to be a combination of Brandon Lockridge, Tyler Wade, right. Luis Campisano or Martin Maldonado and Jose Iglesias, so be it. I'm not going to lose sleep if Gavin Sheets doesn't make this roster, right? But I will lose sleep if a pitcher starts to feel something in their shoulder, or Manny Machado, rolls his ankle, or Jackson Merrill has like an oblique injury. Then I'll start to lose sleep. But everything else, you're kind of just inching closer and closer and closer to the start of the season, and all this stuff will play itself out. It really will. Gavin Sheets, if he all of a sudden now goes in the tank, guess what? He's not making the roster. But if he continues to hit home runs,
how do you even go in the tank over 2 weeks in spring training? Was he going to go 2 for 12
or 0 for 12?
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not that much. I don't even know how many more.
What's the biggest storyline for you?
I will tell you on the other side. There's a massive storyline playing out right now. A huge, massive storyline playing out at this very moment in this Padres game. That is the biggest story of the spring. And we'll share it with you on the other side. Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque News Journal, gets us ready for the Mountain West Tournament. Coming up at 2:30 is Jon and Jim.
All right, tonight at 6, San Diego Sports 760's debut of SDFC Midweek Live. You're going to hear from the head coach, Mikey Varas. You'll hear from Anders Dreyer, who's got 3 goals in 3 matches. You'll hear from the goaltender, CJ Dos Santos, as well. The latest on SDFC, hosted by Adrian Garcia Marquez and Darren Smith. SDFC Midweek Live every Wednesday at 6 on your home for SDFC, San Diego Sports 760. Jeff Grammer is going to join us from the Albuquerque Journal at 2:30. By the way, he caused a huge firestorm yesterday.
Why?
In San Diego, because he quote tweeted Magoon Guath winning defensive player of the year and also freshman of the year, and said CC Texas Tech Red Raiders, because Texas Tech has had the last 2 freshmen of the year in the Mountain West go there, including a kid from JT Toppin from New Mexico last year. So this caused a huge firestorm. These Aztec fans like, why are you trying to recruit this kid out of? We'll see. I'm going to bring it up with him to get his reaction. I don't think he meant it the way it came across.
Right.
Okay, so my story of the spring is playing out right in front of our eyes today. Robert Suarez, no good, rotten, terrible spring training continues. His final line today, in a third of an inning, is 5 hits, 4 runs. He issued a walk, didn't strike out a batter. That raises his spring ERA to 19.64. He's made 5 appearances. Here are the appearances, Jim. 1 inning, 1 hit, no runs. A third of an inning, 2 hits, 4 runs. 1 inning, 1 hit, no runs. 1 inning, 1 hit, no runs. Today, a third of an inning, 5 hits, 4 runs. This is the Padres closer, obviously. This is the guy that was pitching last year in the postseason for San Diego despite September struggles, and he is having an awful spring that is playing out again here today against the Colorado Rockies.
I looked at the pitches that he threw, because a lot of times in spring, the pitchers use it as to stress themselves out and then maybe work on a pitch and then decide if they're going to continue to use that pitch going into the season, or kind of just put it in a box and lock it and throw it away, the key, right? Robert Suarez has 1 pitch, and I looked, and today he was throwing a lot of fastballs, but his secondary pitches like changeups and sinkers were getting rocked. And what did you tell me during the break? Like, that just tells you, it further cements the fact that this dude only has 1 pitch. And we saw what that 1 pitch could do last year when he was really good.
Yep.
But also we saw what it could do when teams were just sitting on it. And when he didn't have control, he lost it. You can't have 1 pitch if you're a closer. Now, you could then be like, well, look at Mariano Rivera. Look at Trevor Hoffman.
Well, yeah, the best of all time, maybe.
Right.
If your pitch is that good, and by the way, Suarez's fastball is that good.
Yes.
I'm not saying it's Mariano or Trevor Hoffman, but he's been able to get by with that for a long period of time, to his credit.
And you better have impeccable location, like the command, right? You better have command of that pitch, because if you don't have command of that pitch, which he kind of lost at times a lot at the end of last year, then it gets really ugly. And I don't know, man. I know Kevin, we'll talk to him later today, 5:30, and we'll obviously ask him about this. To me, what I saw from Jason Adam last year, to me, he is a much better closer option than Robert Suarez, in my opinion. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I do. I do agree with that completely.
Do you think they maybe missed the boat on trying to trade Robert Suarez, or were they ever trying to trade Robert Suarez?
That's a good question. I don't even know if they've even missed the boat as of now based on spring training, but he's owed a lot of money. A lot of money. And I'm not paying that kind of money unless I'm assured that he's going to have, I don't know, similar results to last year. I don't know if that's assured right now or not. Not based on spring, just based on what I saw really last year in September.
Yeah, the numbers are the numbers in spring, like you said. Maybe he can go 0 for 30, and who cares, right? I'm curious to see maybe what he did last spring. But even then, I don't remember him getting rocked like this. Because today, that's awful. That's awful. And it's not like Robert Suarez is facing a bunch of number 96s and 97s. This is, for whatever you want to say, you're facing major leaguers still with this lineup with the Rockies that they threw out today. And when you're facing major leaguers, you don't want to see your guys giving up 5, 6, 7 runs in spring. You can look at it 2 ways. You can look at it means nothing, or you can actually look at it and be like, this is something. And it's more often than not, you're going to lead towards it's nothing unless this guy who you're looking at had problems last year and you want to see improvement, like Robert Suarez. If Robert Suarez had a .5 ERA last year and was incredible throughout the rest of the whole season, would I look at these numbers the same as I do now?
No, I mean, the truth is the reason, I won't lose much sleep until next week, until after Selection Sunday, is
Right.
he did have a really good year. He had
I
a
know.
2.77.
But
And there were highs and lows in there. And there typically are with closers.
look at his last 2.5 months.
But then again, look at his postseason. It was fun. He got by, and that's the most important part of the season.
Yeah.
He was not a liability, right? He closed out games against Atlanta and LA in the postseason. So I wouldn't overreact to what's playing out here in spring, but I'm not fully willing to just say, well, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, he hasn't had one clean inning in 5 spring appearances.
That's not good.
Yeah, that's not good at all. By the way,
I know I saw this.
yeah, John Seidler, it is official. He has taken over as control person as of today. So John Seidler, who again, the older brother of late owner Peter Seidler, has taken over officially as chairperson as of today. No quote unquote change is expected, as in what's been transpiring will continue to transpire with the organization. This was a formality. Now, Sheila Seidler has filed a lawsuit where she deems that she's the appropriate chairperson moving forward, but that's a whole nother conversation. As was expected, John Seidler, Peter's brother, is now the chairman of the San Diego Padres. This has been in the works for weeks on end. We knew that this would happen after a 30-day period of time. It's been those 30 days. What happened to the whole, hey, we'll hear from them, though, mid-March, you're going to hear from them. It is day one.
We'll ask Kevin that later today, because now it is official.
Right.
It is official that he is the control person of this team. So I would think that he will speak in the very near future, right? Like at least by the end of the week.
I don't know. I really don't know. By the end of the week, I don't know.
It would do him good to speak soon, because the last thing you want to do is push this thing, and then it's like, oh, we ran out of time and we'll speak at another date.
Yeah, I would agree. A lot of the backlash, I think, is died down. Like, I don't think there's some requirement here to speak in the next 72 hours. I don't feel as if people are demanding it, other than like me, you, and Ben Fadden. But I do think that between now and the start of the season, it would be wise from a transparency perspective. We haven't heard from ownership ever since the passing of Peter Seidler, right? Eric gets down to one time.
One time.
I mean,
but
Peter
he also
passed a long time ago now.
But I don't. Eric was doing that as a favor to his friend, and
True.
He never wanted that position.
Agreed.
And we all, you could read the tea leaves, and you hearing from people, like, he was never going to be the guy that was going to be outspoken or talk to the media a lot. Like, it was, hey, I'm going to speak on this day. He's probably prepped very well for all questions, right? And he did, look the part. He said the right things, and he kind of actually, did something that I didn't expect him to do, which was put pressure on AJ to kind of get it done. And then, after that, didn't hear him speak much. And now going forward with John Seidler as the control person, I would hope that we hear from him on a more regular basis, because I think the fans deserve that. They don't deserve a guy who is the control person, owner of this team, to just go into hiding and never hear from ever again. And then have Eric Grupner be your mouthpiece for the organization. Like, no, I don't want to hear from Eric. Okay, Eric, no, I want to hear from John. All right, going forward, I want to hear from John, not Eric.
All right, Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque News Journal, has covered the Mountain West extensively for years. He'll join us to preview the Mountain West tournament, including San Diego State and Boise State, coming up tomorrow at 2:30 right here on San Diego Sports 760. We're here until 6. Listen for that sounder for a chance to qualify to win STFC tickets for Saturdays. Jon and Jim.
San Diego FC!
All right, this update is brought to you by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. The Aztecs women's basketball team, they beat top-seeded UNLV last night in Las Vegas to advance to the Mountain West Conference title game tonight against Wyoming. 7:30 tip time there. Of course, if they win, they have an automatic bid to March Madness. Padres and Rockies Cactus League play today. Not good for the Padres. They currently trail the Rockies 4-1 in the bottom of the fourth inning. Robert Suarez did not have a good outing today, going a third of an inning for the Padres and giving up. Where is it? I can't see it. 4 runs, 5 hits, walking 1, striking out none. And tonight at 6 p.m. is the debut of SDFC's Midweek Live with Adrian and Darren, giving you an hour of SDFC talk from 6 to 7 right here on San Diego Sports 760. Make a move with Anderson and upgrade your water heater. You'll increase comfort and your home's value. And here's a hot deal. Get a free water pressure regulator worth $1,300. Get started at AndersonPHA.com today.
All right, Mountain West tournament is underway in Las Vegas. Now, the quarterfinal round will kick off tomorrow, and arguably the biggest game of the tournament will be that quarterfinal game between San Diego State and Boise State, because so much is on the line. Now, Jeff Grammer does a really good job, not just covering the New Mexico Lobos, but covering the league for the Albuquerque News Journal. Now, Jeff, first of all, thank you for doing it. I know you're in Vegas. I know it's busy. I want to start. It's not an elephant in the room, but I'm curious to get your thoughts on it. So yesterday, and you've been tweeting about this constantly, so I assume you're cool to talk about it.
What are you trying to do, bro?
I have no idea. What you're talking about.
Okay, I know you don't, and I know you've been joking about like being like, what fan base am I going to piss off tomorrow? So the Mountain West sends out a tweet yesterday saying Magoon Guath is the Mountain West Defensive Player of the Year and Freshman of the Year. You quote tweet the tweet or the post, and you put CC : Texas Tech Red Raiders.
Yes.
For our list, provide context, please. I know you have on social media, but for our listeners, for San Diegans, for San Diego State fans, please provide context.
I'll start by saying this. I craft a tweet like that. I don't want to make it sound more than it is. It's just a tweet, but I write a tweet like that for the initial reaction to be kind of shock value. Like, what the heck is this guy saying?
Mm-hmm.
How could he say that? Until you realize the context. I hope anyway, the context I was giving was that 2 years ago, the Mountain West Freshman of the Year, Darian Williams, got lured away in the transfer portal and paid by Texas Tech. Last year, Texas Tech lured away from UNM, the Freshman of the Year, JT Toppin, and paid him $1.25 million, by the way. And he's now on All-America list and was the Big 12 Player of the Year. And Darian Williams joined JT Toppin as a first-team Big 12 player this year. So Texas Tech, having poached away the past 2 Freshmen of the Years, I was ready for that tweet, whether it was Magoon Guath, who it should have been, by the way. By the way, I'll point out I voted for Magoon Guath in the preseason for Freshman of the Year as well, before he kind of proved that he was the best freshman. But Elijah Price had a Freshman of the Year worthy season, I would say. And had it been Elijah Price at Fresno State, I would have tweeted the same thing. And I don't imagine anybody in the Fresno State fan base probably would have even noticed, because I don't know what their fan base even is. But it was written in a way that it was supposed to kind of be, at least initially, some shock value to it. And it was received that way. I did think, I honestly thought that more people would realize what I was getting at a lot quicker. And I do think some people don't care what I was getting at, that it came across as a beat writer campaigning for another team. Obviously, Texas Tech isn't coming to me for their recruiting news. It was a very publicly announced award, and it was certainly meant as a joke. But I get that it wasn't received as such by a lot of people.
Wait, hold on. Something not received well on Twitter? That is shocking.
I'm telling you, man. It's a first for me.
Yeah. We've all gone through it. Jeff, just speaking more about Magoon Guath and his season, and his future, not where, if he could go to Texas Tech or not.
Wherever it may be.
Right. But, this guy's potential here, seeing him play this year and, not having much basketball under his belt and going out there and having some incredible games as a freshman, what's the sky's the limit for this guy, right?
Yeah. So Nick Clifford had, again, kind of this got a little upset some Colorado State fans. I said Donovan Dent was clearly the player of the year. Nick Clifford had an all a Mountain West Player of the Year worthy season, but I think Donovan Dent was the guy. But some Colorado State fans pointed out, yeah, well, who's the better NBA prospect? And I said, well, that's not what we're voting on, first of all. But Nick Clifford is a great NBA prospect. If you want to ask me who the best NBA prospect in the league is right now, though, it's Magoon Guaf. Maybe not in this draft, but if you're asking me who in the Mountain West this year, in 5 years, is going to still be playing in the NBA and still playing a pretty vital role, and I have talked to scouts about players in this league, I'm telling you, I think it's Magoon Guaf. And I think what he did this year isn't going to go down in the record books as one of the greatest freshman seasons ever, because he kind of came on late. It certainly will as a shot blocker, it will. But what he did was certainly one of the better ones ever as a freshman, and he showed his potential. He certainly didn't reach his full potential, but that's not going to happen for several years when he is making a lot of money doing this thing. But yeah, I think Magoon Guaf is the best NBA prospect in this league.
Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque News Journal. Of course, a lot of Aztec fans are thinking about the right now for Magoon because he's been out due to a hyperextended knee, but they're also thinking about the future. But that's just how college athletics are right now. Maybe that conversation is just for another day. Speaking of right now, with this tournament underway, let's talk about San Diego State, Boise State. I know you've been speaking on this a little bit here over the course of this week. I mean, how significant do you see it? And is there a path potentially for San Diego State without winning the game?
Yes, but man, it doesn't look like they're getting. Look, bubble teams aren't helping the rest of the bubble so far today. You know, only a couple so far, but teams that are kind of in the conversation in any realm, either on the right side or the wrong side of all the bracketology right now, they keep winning. You know, you want one of these teams to lose early. I will say that the game of the entire Mountain West tournament is the 4-5 matchup, because if it's not quite an elimination game, it certainly is really close. I don't think if whoever loses that game, first of all, if Boise State loses that game, they're not getting in. If San Diego State loses the game, they're certainly going to be sweating it out come Sunday. I still think they should be in. There's no better win in the Mountain West Conference than the Houston win.
Right.
Now, Boise State beat Clemson. That was a good one, but it was at home. UNM beat UCLA on a neutral court. They thought that would be a better win. It ended up being about, they're about a 25, I think, right now. And when you look at Ken Pom and getting votes in the top 25 poll and all that, none of that's Houston. You beat Houston. That is the best win in the conference. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but the recent history of San Diego State in the postseason, pretty good. So I think that kind of carries some weight too. They should be in with a loss, in my opinion. But you don't want to sweat it out as much as if they lose tomorrow, they're going to be sweating it out on Sunday. I still think they should be in, though.
And we look at like worst case scenarios. If you're San Diego State, like you don't want to see Boise or Colorado State win this tournament, right?
Right, because I think then you're looking at, again, sort of, I don't want to call them bid stealers. Colorado State would be a bid stealer, a classic bid stealer in that they're not getting in without winning the tournament. Boise State getting to the championship game could get in, I think, because that would give them a win over San Diego State and a win over New Mexico, which would both be two really good neutral court wins for them. But yeah, Colorado State's only path, I think, is to win in the championship game, obviously. And you don't want to see either one of them do it. And so if by chance you lose tomorrow, I would say you're as fun as it would be for Aztec fans, I think you'd probably want you'd be a New Mexico Lobo fan for the night.
Completely agree. Jeff Grammer, Albuquerque News Journal, with us right now on Jon and Jim. I'm wondering, Jeff, from your seat, because you cover it so closely, I do as well. Do you feel as if the Mountain West postseason narrative has changed as a result of what SDSU has done the last 2 years, but not just SDSU? I mean, I go back to last year. Colorado State won a first 4 game. Who else won? Utah State won a game.
Utah State.
Yeah, Utah State. Now, I thought that the narrative about, well, they got 6 teams in, but they didn't win a lot. I thought it really boiled down to that Nevada game where they had that huge lead that they blew, but that was one game in one tournament. Like, what do you think of the narrative of the Mountain West heading towards Selection Sunday here for postseason play?
So this is what I think of the Mountain West and the NCAA tournament narrative. It is what it is. Other than San Diego State, there isn't one team that's had a lot of success.
Right.
But I don't want to say the committee is really overly disrespecting the league. If you look at this is a 26-year league right now, the 26-year-old league, and in the first 22 seasons, the Mountain West got 4 teams or more in 3 times. It took 22 years to get that to happen 3 times. In the past 3 years, it's happened all 3 times. So, 4, 4, and 6, that's not we're disrespecting the league kind of thing. Now, the seeding has absolutely been questionable and disrespectful. I would say that last year's NCAA tournament showing would have been a whole lot better had, there not been two teams playing in Dayton, had, maybe New Mexico not been paired up with a Clemson team that made the Elite Eight. I just think the seeding last year was really disrespectful, but they got 6 teams, and it's hard to make the case for that being overly disrespectful as a whole. So I don't think that it's kind of a weird balance, right? The seeding has been disrespectful, but they're at least getting in. So I think the Mountain West is in a good spot in that regard, that they should get, in my mind this year, it'll probably end up being 3, but maybe the 4 teams in.
No doubt about it. Looking forward to what should be a fun couple of days in Las Vegas, Nevada. Jeff, appreciate you taking time. I will see you tomorrow out there at the Thomas and Mack, but thank you taking some time for San Diego today.
I'll be there. I'll be looking forward to seeing all my friends in the Thomas and Mack Center. I love you all.
Thanks, Jeff. Jeff Grammer from the Albuquerque News Journal. All right, on the other side, we can continue to react to what's playing out with the struggles for Robert Suarez. What does it mean for the Padres closer situation? Plus, Mike Schilt has commented on the red-hot week for Gavin Sheets, which has included home runs in 4 consecutive games heading into today. Kevin Acee on the official ownership change to John Seidler. Kevin will join us coming up at 5:30. Sean Lewis, Aztec football coach. Spring practice is underway. He'll join us at 5. It's Jon and Jim.
Again, a reminder, you can listen to Aztec Basketball with Ted Leitner on the call tomorrow by downloading the all-new iHeartRadio app and searching for San Diego Sports 760 and putting it in your presets. You can turn the TV down. You can turn Ted up. You can listen tomorrow to San Diego State, Boise State. You can listen this weekend to San Diego FC when they take on the Columbus Crew. You can listen to SDFC's midweek show coming up at 6 p.m. And, of course, you can listen to Jon and Jim as well. So download the all-new iHeartRadio app and make sure to put Jon and Jim and San Diego Sports 760 in your presets. All right, so a lot going on. Kevin Acee will join us at 5:30.
Correct.
We touched on Robert Suarez's struggles, and they have been significant. The caveat being in spring.
Yeah, I don't think we can just say it's a one-off. I know there's certain things in spring you can say that are one-off, and just who cares, right?
Right, but it is like a closer.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a good thing that your closer has virtually been awful this Cactus League. Right. And he hasn't had no clean outings. I mean, I think Kevin might say, "Oh, he's the closer." It's like, Kevin, I'm gonna, dude, this guy has been shaky, and I know that it's spring. He's been awful in spring. He was really bad down the stretch last year. I'm afraid that Schilte's going to have that, like, what's it called? That loyalty for his guys, and it might burn him in the start of the season with Robert Suarez. It might,
yeah,
but it might not. You too.
Well, here's the thing. I wonder how much of that you would really even put on Schilt, because are you going to? It's usually organizationally determining who the closer is. Like, they're not going to be like, "Hey, Mike, what do you want to do?" I mean, maybe
I know
close a role.
Yeah,
and also you're not going to be able to hide a $11 million pitcher. Where are you going to put him? Or let's say he's going to get 8th innings to start. Or if things don't go well, he will not close. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
But then you also are stuck with a $10 million contract.
Mm-hmm.
And what's he going to pitch? 7th innings?
And you can also say, well, the first game of 2022, he gave up a walk-off home run in Arizona. And then look what he did that season. He was fantastic.
Yeah, good point.
Didn't give up a run at home all year long until a meaningless home run in the NLCS. Now he did give up the home run to Bryce Harper.
That was a big one.
That was a pretty big one. But that year he was really good and it started out awful for Robert Suarez.
That's right.
Then 2023, he was injured and he was,
ineffective basically all year. He
really
barely
bad.
pitched. Yeah.
And then last year he started out on fire. And by the All-Star break, like, this guy's the best closer in baseball.
Yep.
And then August, September, he fell off the
tailed off. I saw Josh Hader go through that a couple years ago here.
Mm-hmm.
Where he was completely fallen off a cliff and then redeemed himself in the postseason in 2022.
But don't you agree? I think having just your four-seam fastball be your best pitch,
it's concerning.
It could work, but we also see it get rocked last year.
I think it's a concern. No, I think it's a very fair, legitimate concern that the longer you go without Robert Suarez developing a legitimate secondary pitch, the more concerning it is moving forward. And here's the other thing. Pitchers in their 30s, like, they're not always apt to be developing additional pitches. Like, you got to this point without it. You got your contract without it.
Right.
Now you're adding to your repertoire, and he clearly needs to add to his repertoire. They've attempted to do that, but he ends up getting into games. What was the stat last year when he was going well? He probably had a stretch of 100 pitches where 97 of them were fastballs.
Just all fastballs. Like, Darnay had the bit.
Yeah.
I bet this next pitch is a fastball. It was a fastball.
It might have been more than 97 out of 100 pitches at one point were fastballs.
It was
He's
incredible.
having success with it,
Yeah, it's like, what, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
So I don't know. I mean, that probably has moved to the top of my list of concerns heading into the year.
Yeah, that has now. And I said my concern before I saw what Robert Suarez did today. So you're right. My number one concern going into the season is the effectiveness of Robert Suarez.
Yeah, because you are right. We're going to get there. It's going to be opening day against Atlanta. And if he's pitching in the 9th inning and he's coming off a spring with a 20 ERA in 7 appearances, of course you're going to be concerned. Is that just all brushed aside and he's back to being that 2.7 ERA closer that's capable of picking up 40 plus saves this year? I don't know.
And even if he does start out well, like, say the first month he's like 5 for 5 in save opportunities and he's really good, then we can truly say, all right, spring numbers, whatever.
Right.
But if he starts out like 2 for 5 in save opportunities with an ERA around like 4 or 5, then you're going to be really questioning like this guy probably is not our closer anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And your point from 20 minutes ago, which I think is a valid one, like, has the ship sailed, so to speak, in terms of really getting the value you should for him if you want to move him because of what's played out in the spring is a fair question. My guess is no, not entirely. But then again, maybe to some extent it has. Also, you're not going to really, are you moving this? It's going to be hard to move this player in season if he's not having success.
Yeah, you can't move a bad reliever.
No, exactly. Especially one that makes a lot of money.
And expect to get anything in return.
Yeah, so I think you just got to trust in Ruben Niebla and trust in Robert Suarez, who's been a very productive big league closer.
Now, it is interesting because we know Schulte will back his players 1,000% no matter what.
Right.
He will hype them up to be the greatest players that have ever played the sport. But there was a moment last year, if you remember, where he actually was, for the first time all year, kind of hard publicly on one of his players, and that was Robert Suarez. He said, and this isn't exact paraphrasing, but it was along the lines of like, he's got to be better.
Yeah, I don't fully. So was that August, September last year?
Yes.
Which is interesting because they played really well those months collectively.
Yeah, but I think it might have been after maybe it was after the White Sox series. Remember we gave up those home runs to the White Sox? And you're like, are you serious right now?
I do remember that.
I don't know exactly when it was, but I do remember Schulte actually for the first time all year being somewhat critical of one of his players. And that's a big thing. When Schulte's critical of you,
you must have really,
oh my gosh.
I mean, again, it's one thing. Nobody's going to care if Robert Suarez in 10 spring appearances gives up a couple of runs.
No,
but there's some like blow ups where you can't get out of innings. It's happened that multiple times, maybe 3 times where he hasn't gotten out of an inning, at least 2. It's just a little odd when you see 5 hits in a third of an inning in a spring training game when you're and again, to your point, is it because he's working on things? Sure. And is that what they're going to tell? Here's the other thing you have to think about. It's not just his ineffectiveness. And maybe this is putting the cart before the horse. It's his health.
Yes.
So I'm not saying there's anything wrong with his health. Maybe he's perfectly fine. But when you see numbers that are poor, you then start looking at like the advanced indicators. What's the velocity? What's the break? How's he feel? He's made a lot of appearances though. So hopefully he feels all right,
Manny in our chat. And this
Machado?
is a good point. No, not Machado. McNuggets. Said, all spring you guys say who cares about spring stats. Now you all of a sudden care?
You have to. Here's the thing, Manny, with all due respect, Manny McNuggets, if that is your real name. Here's the thing that I would say, and a number of you may agree with me, you may disagree with me. There's a nuance that goes into what matters at what time in baseball. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a nuance. Of course, we don't truly mean nothing matters. That's way too much of an ultimate, you could never say if Manny Machado truly went 0 for 40, it truly doesn't matter. Now I could discount it.
I could easily discount it.
But it doesn't truly not matter. There's a reason why he had 40 ABs and didn't get a hit. I don't know what the reason is. Is it health? Is it age? Yeah. Is it mental? But I can discount it. When you start talking about a closer, you know what I mean? Like, it is going to matter. I'm not saying it matters now, but what is the reason as to why he is struggling now? Not that it's the grand all be all, but there has to be a reason as to why. Is it secondary pitches? Is it health? Is it mental? Is it velocity? Is it bad luck? Mm-hmm. There has to be a reason as to why, even if it is some random March day in Maryvale, which is not where they are.
I think if I were to rank the from truly do not care to kind of means maybe a little something in spring, number 1 is outcomes of games, wins and losses.
That's number 1 pointless.
That is truly a pointless thing to care about in spring.
Position player stats of veteran players, pretty pointless.
Pretty pointless. I think also pretty pointless is, you could say maybe a little bit, but like starters, unless their velocity drops or they're injured, right? Dylan Cease said the other day, I think he got 4 runs. Who cares? I don't care. Is he healthy?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's kind of good to hear.
Is his velocity up? Yeah. Stuff up. That's fine. I think what fringe guys do in games in like the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings in spring, those truly don't matter because you're all playing against numbers 95 and 96. Like, you're not playing against anybody of significance. And then I think something that does matter a little bit, you could say like Robert Suarez. I think that does matter a little bit when your closer is out there and they're putting them in position to face Major League hitting. They're not having him go out and face a bunch of AAA guys.
He's pitching in the third inning because they want him to see the
Right.
actual lineup. But here's the other thing I would say. Well, I agree with McNuggets to some extent, but what did we say about Joe Musgrove's struggles last spring? We said, just keep an eye on it. Like, there's a reason when you allow 8 runs and can't get out of an inning, I don't care if you're playing T-ball. That's problematic. There has to be a reason that that's happening. All right. We'll have further reaction to it on the other side. We'll hear from Mike Schilt on Gavin Sheets, who's been red hot, obviously, over the last week. We can get your calls as well, 877-767-4760, and be listening for that sounder, the Adrian Garcia Marquez goal call. The next time you hear it, call 877-767-4760 for a chance to be qualified to win 2 free tickets to see SDFC on Saturday night at Snapdragon Stadium. Hour 2, Jon and Jim next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. We'll start with Aztecs women's hoops. They beat UNLV last night, the number 1 seed in the Mountain West Conference tournament. They'll take on Wyoming tonight in the Mountain West Conference title game. 7:30 tip. Of course, if they win that game, they have an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. Padres and Rockies Cactus League play today. Rockies currently lead the Padres 9-1, John, in the bottom of the 6th inning. Not a good day for some big-time Padres relievers. Robert Suarez going only a third of an inning, giving up 4 runs, and Wandy Peralta going a third of an inning, giving up 4 runs as well. And tonight at 6 p.m., it's the debut of SDFC Midweek Live with Adrian Garcia Marquez and Darren Smith, giving you an hour of SDFC talk from 6 to 7 right here on San Diego Sports 760. Make a move with Anderson and upgrade your water heater. You'll increase comfort and your home's value. And here's a hot deal. Get a free water pressure regulator worth $1,300. Get started at AndersonPHA.com today.
Getting you all set for that drive home.
Got some power, probably a little too much.
Well then.
All right, so he's got 6 tools because he's got a high baseball IQ, and then he has. Not only does he have power, he has too much power.
Too much power.
he's got to rein it in. He's been hitting the ball too far. They can't collect the ball. They have to race out into the parking lot.
He's hitting it too hard.
Away.
He's literally knocking the covers off the ball.
You're using too many of our baseballs.
Right.
We don't have enough.
We need to bring a couple balls back here and then the field of play.
He has too much power. He hit 10 home runs 2 years ago.
They're just getting more powerfuler and more powerfuler by the day. He hit 17 last year?
Yeah. 700 OPI. I don't even know what to say, dude.
Let's just start the show. Here's Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 2 of Jon and Jim. Again, a reminder, be listening for that Adrian Garcia Marquez goal call. When you hear it, call 877-767-4760 for a chance to qualify to win 2 free tickets to see San Diego FC this weekend, Saturday night, at Snapdragon Stadium against the Columbus Crew. Now we'll hear more from Mike Schild. I haven't heard what he has to say about Gavin Sheets. He has to have a Babe Ruth comp in there. I can't wait. I cannot wait to hear this.
Well, I just Babe Ruth comp.
There has to be a Barry Bonds comp.
No, there's not, but it is a just classic Schilty glaze fest.
Okay. I need to hear it.
He doesn't go to the Jake Cronenworth level where you're like, how many MVPs have this guy's won? Like 4?
Right. Has he won 3 the last 4 or 4 the last 5? I forget.
Right? Like, huh? But he is very complimentary of Gavin Sheets, as you would expect.
All right, well, let's go to Dave real quick, who's been patient, and then let's hear from Mike Schild on Gavin Sheets. Kevin Acee at 5:30. Padres ownership change is official. Chairman change with John Seidler is official.
Right.
And then Sean Lewis, a couple of days into spring camp, spring practice. Will Jonas coming up at 5 p.m. to talk some Aztec football. But right now, let's go back to Dave. 877-767-4760 if you want to weigh in. And Dave, you're on with Jon and Jim.
So, guys, I've got my Google open here. This powerfuler and powerfuler word that Jim came up with. Man, I'm having a hard time finding that. Yeah. But I think it's going to go into the Mike Schilt, Schiltism. So,
hope so.
Jim, you might have given him some words to use, so don't feel bad. It's okay.
That'd be great.
Getting back over to Robert Suarez, just for grins to think about. Not long ago, the guys over on MLB Radio were rating and ranking the top relievers in the major leagues. And Suarez never even made it into their top 10. And I was surprised given his record last year. They don't think much of him. I called in and asked. They just don't have a lot of regard for this guy. So I think other people might know something more about this guy than a lot of us do. Just for grins, we'll keep that in our hip pocket. I just hope he doesn't turn into the second coming of Amelia Pagan. The last question I had for you guys. So we have this wonderful spring Padres record, which, tongue in cheek, but is it safe to assume that most of this record, lack thereof, has been done with their I guess, tryout players for all intents and purposes. Is that what we're to assume?
100%.
And if it is, then maybe the tryout players aren't all that good.
Yeah, I mean, and thank you, Dave. We always appreciate you listening and calling in. I mean, like Jim said a moment ago before 3 p.m., the last indicator you should be looking at as an indicator is their record.
Yeah.
Like that's truly the last. They're 5-12. We facetiously joke about this daily because it's kind of comical. If it's 5-12 a month from now, then it's a problem.
Yes.
5-12 today, just, the Rockies are 10-8. Do I think the Rockies will be 10-8 in the regular season? I don't.
The thing about spring training is they're trailing 9-1 right now?
Getting hammered.
Yeah, they're trailing 9-1. Wandy Peralta and Robert Suarez were awful today.
Both awful.
But the thing about spring is in like the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings when, rarely any regulars are out there. It's all a bunch of minor league guys and no names. These things could flip in a second.
Absolutely.
Like the Padres could win today 11-9 because that's how spring is. And it won't matter at all. It is. I mean, it's a funny thing to talk about on this show because we make fun of it, right? Because 2 of their 5 wins have been against the Chicago White Sox. The worst team in baseball. What I mean? Who cares, right? If the Padres are playing their regulars every day and going 100% and they're 5-12, like in the regular season, then yeah, we will be concerned and we will have a little bit of a problem. Again, it's a long season, but still 5-12 to start out the gates after what happened this offseason. Not something you'd want to do in the regular season.
Yeah, not in the regular season, but maybe some of you that are listening right now or watching have been to spring training. Maybe others haven't. I mean, nothing could be further from real, even though what I'm telling you is you have to be able to discern in there what is real and what isn't. Like that's fair. Like AJ Preller still has a job, and there are 1 or 2 or 3 players fighting to get on a roster. So you're using things like their success in spring training to determine whether they're on the opening day roster or not, obviously. But team success in spring training is like the least impactful thing imaginable. If you've ever watched these games, listened to these games, been at these games, you've seen how many players can play in one game, Jim. How many players can appear in a game with pitchers and position players in one game? 40?
More than that, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it's a crazy number, and it's not about taking advantage of leads, or it just isn't. Like Robert Suarez is pitching in the 3rd inning, which you would never see in a million years in a regular season game.
No.
But with all that being said, I'm sure Robert Suarez didn't plan to go out there in the 3rd inning and be like, I want to give up 5 hits and 4 runs today. I'm sure he planned to have more success than that earlier today. So it's like you need to be able to discern fact from fiction when you're watching these games, is what I would say.
And I'd be way more concerned if Robert Suarez wasn't throwing 99, instead throwing like 93, 94.
Right.
Then we got a big problem on our hands. But from all indications, and we'll ask Kevin later today, it seems like his velocity is still up, still pumping at 100, but the problem is the command still, it's off, and it's just spring training. I get it. Whatever.
Right.
And then his secondary pitches, like the stuff that he needs to really develop and really have going forward, because we saw it happen when he was a one-trick pony last year at the end of the season. It just got figured out, and you're in the big leagues. You're not in the minors. Like this stuff's going to get figured out eventually, and you have to evolve and you have to adapt. And unless your fastball is, Hoffman changeup-esque or Mariano Rivera cutter-esque,
right,
you got to have more than just a fastball. I feel like the best thing for a closer, and obviously the best thing for relievers, is movement. And do I want my closer having a dynamite sinker or a dynamite fastball? Probably a dynamite sinker, to be honest with you.
I mean, with Suarez, it's worked. That's the thing.
But he rarely throws anything else other than fastball.
Here's the thing. It's hard to knock Preller.
I'm not knocking Preller at all.
But hear me out. But what I was going to say there is he's oftentimes found players to close that have either been affordable or affordable via trade.
That's been one of his strengths.
That's been his strength. Now,
yeah.
But here's the thing. He gave Robert Suarez a lot of money. And if you look at, so this is the 3rd year really of a 3-year deal. There's a player option for the next 2 years, but this is the 3rd year of a 3-year deal, $30 million. To your point, year 1 of that deal was complete ineffectiveness, 2023, right? Mm-hmm. He was hurt. He had maybe a blister at one point, and he was suspended for 10 games.
Yeah, for
sticky stuff.
Yeah.
And he wasn't effective.
Nope.
right? So okay, that's 1 year. Well, that's again a miss. He's making $10 million a year. Then there's last year, complete bounce back, very good reliever, one of the better closers in baseball. Not the best, but wherever he would have qualified, one of the top 7 closers in the sport. Right, a year ago,
At one time, he might have been the best.
at one point in the first half, he probably was. Well, now it's like, I don't know. You better get another good year out of him. You paid him $30 million. I'm saying, like, that's a big commitment. Like, outside of Drew Pomeranz, that's about as big of a commitment the Padres have given a reliever. Am I wrong? It's hard to give a reliever more than that amount of money.
Well, you are forgetting one pitcher that pitched today, John. His name is Wandy
He didn't
Peralta.
get $30 million.
Wandy Peralta?
Did not get $30 million.
I know. I'm just saying. I don't know.
I don't know
exactly
what he got, but it
he
wasn't
got.
$30 million.
Let me look at this because I think he might have been close to $30 million.
I say no.
You say no?
I say no.
Hold on. Let's just look this right here. Well, John, he signed a 4-year contract. Where is this?
Without options or anything?
No, I think they're. Hold on. Wandy
Peralta spot track.
Spot track. Great radio, everybody.
This is really good.
Here we go. 4 years and come on.
I know my internet is slow too.
Of course. The one time we
4
need
years, he's making $4 million. So whatever the math is, he signed a 3-year, $12 million deal.
4 year, $16.5 million.
Okay, so $4 million a year. That's different than 10.
I know, but still,
You know?
it's for a guy that you don't feel comfortable with.
Oh, I'm not saying that's a good deal either.
Oh no, it's bad. It's still a bad deal.
I mean, when I think about some of these bad deals, you bring up a good point. I mean, again, Pomeranz awful.
Worst deal.
Suarez, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying it's a pretty big commitment. So you're asking for 2 good years out of those 3 for $30 million. The Peralta deal's a bad deal, obviously.
Yeah, he shouldn't be. I mean, the thing about the bullpen, which is that it's one of the easiest places to completely do an overhaul.
Absolutely.
And Preller has done that time and time again. He's been great at finding closers. I think having Jason Adam and Jeremiah Estrada, I like Yuki Matsui.
Mm-hmm.
It's tough that Brian Hoeing is going to be out for a while because he was really good with his team. But, those 3 guys alone at the back end of your bullpen. And then, I'm not going to completely say Robert Suarez is washed.
No.
He's going to get opportunities, obviously. And if he shows that this is just a one-off in spring and who cares, in the last 2 months of last season, he was just going through some struggles and he's going to turn a corner. Then the back end of your bullpen with Robert Suarez, Jason Adam, Jeremiah Estrada, Yuki Matsui, those are really good pitchers to have at the back end of your bullpen. I still think that Jason Adam eventually will become this team's closer, but in the meantime, they got to make sure Robert Suarez doesn't wet the bed right at the gate.
And here's the other thing: he's not a kid.
No,
he's not 34 years of age. All right, we'll finally hear from Mike Schilt on Gavin Sheets. On the other side, Kevin Acee at 5:30, and we're with you until 6 p.m. here tonight. Stay with us, Jon and Jim.
Oh, dude,
All right, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Sean Lewis, Aztec football coach, spring football underway. On the Mesa, he'll join us at 5 p.m. Kevin Acee from Peoria at 5:30. How's Kevin going to excuse this one?
I don't know, man. This is a bad loss.
Hey, Kevin, I'm not putting it all on you, but
I mean,
can you explain how the Padres are down by 10 runs today? What's the score?
it's 9-1.
9-1. That's not 10 runs.
Let's see. The B
They're on the
squad
road.
today, the
They're on the
B
road.
squad. Hosey had a nice day.
Did he?
Hosey's
He had 2 hits.
I'm
Went
guessing
2
2 singles.
2 for 3. No, one of them was a double, John.
Wow.
Runs scored. Your boy Gavin Sheets, Sheetsy, he was 1 for 3 with an RBI.
He's made the team.
Connor Joe was 0 for 3 today. Eggy Rosario was 0 for 2. Luis Campusano was 0 for 3. Campy's hitting 125 in spring with a 301 OPS. Oscar Gonzalez was 1 for 3. Your boy Wadey
Was hitting 192.
was 0 for 2. He has a 414 OPS in spring. Brandon Lockridge
He's hitting 360.
with a 927 OPS went 1 for 3 today. It was great. That is pretty much it, John. Wandy Peralta sucked today. Robert Suarez was awful.
No, yeah, that's the pretty much it.
And
The
that's
pretty much it is Wandy Peralta's in your bullpen, and he's been bad.
Yeah.
Was today, and Robert Suarez is your closer, and he's been awful this spring. So again, am I going to fully overreact to it? No, I'm not saying cut Robert Suarez, or I'm not saying Mike Schilt figured it out or AJ Preller, but it's at least something to talk about. As is Gavin Sheets, who continued that hot streak with a base hit today. Now, this was Mike Schilt before the game.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to hear this. I have not heard this. I'm just going to set it up like this. This is Mike Schilt on Gavin Sheets, who coming into today had homered in 4 consecutive games.
just putting himself in a good position to hit and not trying to do too much. He's obviously a big, strong guy, and he's just putting good swings on the baseball, and it's paying off. He's driven some balls dead center. Got some balls he can hang that he can pull, and he's just looking to do put a good swing on the ball.
And I know that you sometimes put an emphasis on certain situations and stuff. He did obviously has the walk-off. But he also came off the bench today.
Yep.
And I wonder if he did anything for himself there in terms of how you might view his role.
Yeah, I mean, there's the thing about it. We use this, especially more this time of year, where guys are competing for jobs and starting to whittle down the roster a little bit and start to get guys in situations so they can, A, have an opportunity to work on it, and B, see what they do. And, he's come off the bench a couple of times and just taking really quality at bats.
What does the presence do? Like the fact that he can go deep with pretty much any pitch. Like, what does that do for you guys, for an opposing pitcher, maybe?
Yeah, quite a bit. You got presence in your lineup and length in your lineup. And you've got, tough at bats. Damage is good too, but Gavin just takes tough at bats. He does damage as well, which is clearly nice. But it just lengthens the lineup, and it's just a mental grind. I looked at our lineup today without Sheets in it, and you look up and it's like, I just smile. You got a 3-time batting champion at the top. You got one of the better players in the game that's healthy and in a great spot, and Toddy. And then you look and you got Jackson, that's one of the best young players in the game in third, and you got guy in Manny. It's just a generational talent that Gold Gloves and Silver Slugger last year, and just one of the better players in the game for a long time now. And then you got Crony, and we talked about him, just a grit guy, he just does it all, and winning player. And you got Bogey, 5-time Silver Slugger, 2-time World Series, and then you got Gurriel. Guys won a World Series, and Hayward's won a World Series, and Maldonado's won 2. And by the way, we pitched Dylan Cease, who's top 5 perennial Cy Young, does no hitter, and so I'm like, and bring a guy like Gavin Sheets off the bench, a lot to smile about.
He played under La Russa in Chicago. Did you get a scouting report from Tony before he signed?
I absolutely did. I called Tony. Obviously, respect him highly, and he said nothing but complimentary things. It was interesting because I called. At least to me, Gavin as well, and he brought up Tony unsolicited about how much he enjoyed playing for him and how much he taught him. They won their division that first year, and Tony said Gavin was a big part of that. And he said, you can win with this guy. And that's all I need to know from a guy that has won the second most games anybody ever managed. That was enough to sign off on for me. And then Gavin appreciated the way Tony, helped him in his career. I mean, nobody takes credit for people's careers, but he appreciated getting him to understand how to compete, get ready, different situations. And so long answer your question, yeah, I spoke to Tony. He was very favorable.
Sheets talked earlier today about the work he's been doing in the cages and with the staff now that the results showing up in games. Have you been pleased with him from that standpoint of, I guess, like the openness he's had about kind of input that, a new organization has had?
Yeah, I've been very pleased with the plan. I talked about this, and I'm seeing the fruits of the labor for the plan that we had for our guys that we've had historically in the organization, their off-season plan. And I'm also really thrilled in how we've been able to partner with the player before camp 44, right before camp, the camp actually started, as camp progresses. And I just appreciate the fact that our guys, our staff, we do our jobs, they do it very well, is able to work with the player, and it creates that trust. And there's a balancing act to that because we want the player to be comfortable with what they've done historically, and then have a player that's ready and open to a suggestion, but we've done our homework to make sure we present something that can be beneficial. So it's just a good way of operating, and Gavin gets all the credit.
What is he talking about? He's like, that's just the end there. We like to partner with the player to make sure like we get the most out of him. Like he's the player who's been in his career. What career? What player?
My favorite part of that was
LaRussa.
No, not LaRussa. I'm sure Tony's like, who? Stop bothering me, Schilt. I'm trying to have fun on the lake here.
All I needed to hear was from Tony, and we signed him to a 6-year deal.
My favorite is when Schilty goes off on these tangents and then just starts naming every single player on his team and like their accolades that they have. Like Martin Maldonado, 2-time World Series winner. Jason Hayward won a World Series. We have Dylan Cease on the mound. Xander Bogaerts won 2 World Series. You're like, Schilt. The question was, how did you like Gavin Sheets at bats today?
So this is a Wendy's.
Right.
Can you imagine him?
Like, huh?
Dude.
It's my favorite thing.
It's unbelievable.
It's so amazing to hear, like, just randomly go down a path that Schulte goes down. You're like, it's been 4 minutes.
How can I not be smiling? Xander Bogaerts won 2 World Series 10 years ago.
See Martin Maldonado,
he won 2 World Series too. Yeah, I know he hit a $119 last year.
He's like Yadier Molina.
All right, much more from Padres camp on the other side. Plus, at 5:30, Kevin Acee, our Padres insider. Plus, be listening for that Adrian Garcia Marquez San Diego FC goal call. When you hear it, call 877-767-4760 for a chance to qualify to win 2 free tickets to see SDFC on Saturday night at Snapdragon Stadium. Jon and Jim.
This update is brought to you by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. San Diego State women's basketball last night, they beat UNLV, the top seed in the Mountain West Conference tournament. They'll advance, and they have advanced to the Mountain West Conference title game, which is tonight in Vegas against Wyoming, 7:30 tip time. Of course, if they win, they have an automatic bid to the NCAA tournament. Padres and Rockies Cactus League play today. Padres getting absolutely rocked by Colorado. You like that? 10-1 now in the top of the 8th inning. And tonight at 6 p.m., it's the debut of SDFC Midweek Live with Adrian Garcia Marquez and Darren Smith, giving you an hour of SDFC talk from 6 to 7 tonight on San Diego Sports 760. Make a move with Anderson and upgrade your water heater. You'll increase comfort and your home's value. And here's a hot deal. Get a free water pressure regulator worth $1,300. Get started at AndersonPHA.com today.
All right, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Listen tonight, 6 p.m. The debut of SDFC Midweek Live. You're going to hear from the head coach, Mikey Varas, as well as interviews with players and coaches. Anders Dreyer, who's got 3 goals in 3 matches. Find out the latest club and MLS information, hosted by Adrian Garcia Marquez and Darren Smith. SDFC Midweek Live every Wednesday at 6 on your home for SDFC, San Diego Sports 760. Now, am I expecting them to just walk into the studio when we're done? Am I going to see Darren and Adrian walk right up here?
I would
love to.
I don't know.
Okay.
We'll have to wait and see.
I'm excited.
Oh, no.
Oh, no. You're going to sneeze? You had 6 minutes. You just had 5 minutes. You could have sneezed.
It's like the once the mics turn on, I don't know what it is, man.
The whole thing, sometimes when Schilt talks and we play these 3-4 minute bites and these back and forths, and he's asked the questions. I mean, it's not his fault. It's not his fault that he makes me laugh. I honestly get like loopy. It's like the 4th hour of our show. I start hearing him talk. I can't like go on with normal life.
And if you're not paying close attention,
you miss like everything.
If you like listen and then kind of tap out real quick and then go back, you're like, wait, what's he talking about now? What's the question?
He was asked about Gavin Sheets getting additional work in the cage and tied it to Xander winning 2 titles in Boston.
It's a great
and
quality.
having Dylan Cease.
It's an amazing quality there.
You were on site at FanFest when he was asked about the roster, and he ran through the 26-man roster without a piece of paper in front of him and mentioned something about everyone.
I think the time of it was about almost 6 minutes.
6 minutes where he basically mentioned the team.
Uninterrupted.
That's incredible.
And it's not only that he mentioned the entire roster, he said something about every single player down to Brian Hoeing.
Where he's like, 3-to-1 ground ball to fly ball ratio.
Hey, Randy Vasquez had 20 starts last year?
Right.
Like every player on the team he mentioned. And it was so funny because Derek Togerson because Derek's the one that asked him the initial question.
He's like, Mike, how was your offseason? I need to talk to you about
literally. I think that was the question.
And man, it's a good team, huh?
Derek goes, so safe to say you're pretty excited then. Like, yeah, no S.
It's not a bad trade. I enjoy it. I get it's comic relief for me, which is a good thing.
It's only bad if they don't win. If they don't win, then it's like, dude, stop. Like, I don't. No one wants to hear this. But he is a good manager. They have won. Now it's only been a year. We saw what happened after year 1 with Bob Melvin,
right?
In the toilet,
right?
But if they continue to win at a good clip, then you look over all this stuff. You look over the cringy stuff and the things he says and the stuff's about how Jake Cronenworth is the greatest player on the planet, and Martin Maldonado's like Yadier Molina as far as like IQ goes. Like you look over that stuff.
That's all within the last like 2 days.
I know. You look over all that stuff. If they win, it's like, who cares, right? You can be the cringiest person on the planet, but if you win games, doesn't matter.
Like I'm reading the article today because we played yesterday that Mike Schilt uninterrupted 4 minutes on Jake Cronenworth where he just gushed over him. Oh, right. God. I mean, that I'm putting
too much power.
He has too much power. It's the open of our show. You'll hear it coming up.
Powerfuler and powerfuler.
And then I saw Kevin wrote something about it, and I get it because Mike Schilt said so much about Jake Cronenworth, and the title of the article is "The Padres Know the Worth of Jake Cronenworth." We said earlier, $30 million for Robert Suarez over 3 years.
Now, listen, I was complimentary Preller last year, so were you. And we've been critical at other times. And so have others. Jay Cronenworth's making a lot of money. You know, I can say that he's got a great baseball IQ and he's got too much power, but I could also say he's making $80 million over 7 years, and his numbers have only gotten worse, and he's making $11 million this year. So, again, they can say whatever they want in February and March is the point.
Yeah.
It's like once this thing gets real, I don't care about the high baseball IQ. I care if he's got an 800 OPS.
It's the classic spring training answer of everybody's in the best shape of their life.
Yep.
Everybody's
Never felt better.
Everybody had the greatest offseason ever. Everybody is ready to go and so excited and, you know, just beefing. Like everybody's the greatest. That's what spring training is.
Right.
That's what you hear. You're never going to hear like, man, bad offseason, came in out of shape.
Yeah.
This guy
wrists are killing him.
Yeah, like he doesn't show
Looks
it
a
in
step
spring.
slow.
Yeah, it's not great. You don't
True.
see that. You only see like the greatest of the great. I feel so great. Going into my third season, I feel like this is the season I'm really going to turn things around and yada, yada, yada. All right. Okay. We've seen too many times players say those things and it not happen.
I mean, I'm not going to play the Cronenworth thing again from yesterday.
But
are we going to?
No.
But I mean, I would be tempted to. It's that over the top.
Well, I was gonna ask you. You know, it is kind of middle of the week, not a lot going on. Would you want to relive the greatness of Mike Schilt's 5-minute monologue from FanFest?
Do you have it?
We do. You want to play it?
I got nothing else going on.
I think we should.
Do you want to do it here? Or you want to do it?
I think we should do it right now.
All right. So this is set it up.
This is Mike Schilt during FanFest when asked by Derek Togerson, "How was your off season?"
Heck, you got Louis coming in. He's healthy, feeling good. Toddy looked like, put on an absolute laser show the other day, taking BP. Manny looks fantastic. He looks tremendous. Definitely won his off season. He's in a great place, had multiple conversations with Bogey. He's excited to be able to go back and enjoy playing shortstop again at a high level. Crony, tremendous offseason, looks great, got married, but looks fantastic, ready to go and be an all-star caliber, Gold Glove caliber second baseman. Clearly has that ability. Jackson just keeps going and, excited about competing and playing. We got Diaz back behind the plate, did a great job for us at the end of the season. Was able to contribute to us to get to the playoffs. Campy's had a really, really good all season. He's really in a good spot as well. So when you take that rundown, you got Wadey back. He just brings pure energy when he comes into the clubhouse and see him. So another established guy. So listen, we've got a good nucleus of guys that competed, knows what it takes to win, continue to do it together, which is a big part of our theme. Not going to sit here and, alibi the fact that, yeah, we got some guys that we miss, but that's the nature of this game, right? It can be a, somewhat transient game in that regard, and really happy for Pro and Higgy and Tanner Scott and, Solano. It's good to see that those guys came here, performed well, and yeah, we'd love to have had them back. I don't think there's anybody in the organization that would have, wouldn't say the same thing. But the reality is, it's hard to keep a, full team together, and we wish them the very best. Super happy for Pro, Higgy, Tanner, Donovan. Couldn't be more thrilled for them. They all got taken care of for their families and got rewarded for the years they had here. But the fact of the matter is, we got plenty in the clubhouse, and other guys now get a wonderful opportunity to step up and contribute. You mentioned the pit. Now we go to the pitching side. Clearly, Joe being out, that's going to hurt. But Joe's not out. Joe just is not able to perform on the mound this year. Joe's still an integral part of our clubhouse and our leadership group, and he's done a phenomenal job. He just hosted Camp 44 this past week and brought in the pitchers, but now we got another year of continuity with, Michael King. This guy, Cy Young caliber stuff last year, pitched great, better as the season went. Outstanding in the playoffs. Dylan Cease, no hitter, coming back, looking good. Got the nice beard going, Darvish is Darvish. So, able to list these names. And, Randy Vasquez back, year under his belt. This got 20 starts for us last year in the big leagues. Big league consistent starters are going to get 32, 33. So he helped carry a lot of the mail. Matt Waldron,
without Matty for probably 5 weeks of the season last year, being able to eat innings and win games for us. He's back, so we're in a good spot. Bullpen, yeah, we missed Tanner. It's clearly wipe out lefty. Adrian Moyhone really took a next step last year. Really took a nice step. Set a tremendous offseason. Looks fantastic, in a good place. You got the Caballo, you got Suarez down there to close it out. Jason Adam, what can you say about him? This guy crushes righties, lefties. The whole shooting match. Hoeing came in, did a phenomenal job. Yuki, tremendous. He really had a good year. You look at it and you kind of pick it apart, and some of the things that you look at and you go, could have been better here or there. Really, ultimately, the second half, 5% walk rate, 34% strikeout rate. Looks good, ready to have a good season. Like I said, Hoeing, understated part of that trade. Grabs a 6, gets a 7th, helps you bridge to the back end guys. So the point, long answer to your question, we got a really good pieces in place here. And so, yeah, that group's going to have to perform. The beautiful thing about this game is it creates other opportunities for other guys to step up and take advantage of that. And that's part of there and my job to help with that. And, the last piece of the continuity piece is, our staff's back. We got Ruben son. We're going, toe to toe together for the next 3 years, which is fantastic. We get to walk together. Victor's back, got, some extension time. Our staff by and large is back. And, it's a great situation.
Just reading between the lines, you're excited.
That is hilarious that Derek followed up like, so you like the team? Feel good?
Listening back to that.
It's amazing.
And I playing it when I did, because you were gone that day.
Yeah, but we've played it since.
Right. But the day I played it, my initial was like, that was very impressive to do. And I don't know anybody else that could do that, what Schilt did there. I mean, to rip off every name on your roster.
And the best part for me is when it's like, when you look into it, Yuki Matsui in the second half at a 5% walk rate, 34% strikeout rate. Like
in the second half.
We're really going to go there off the how was your offseason, Mike?
To talk about second half stats with Yuki Matsui. It's also funny listening back to that too, that he said things about like Luis Campusano and had like an amazing offseason, looks amazing, yet he's been trying to do everything possible to make sure that Luis Campusano's not on this roster this year to start.
Well, not everyone could be the best player. Like what he just said about those 26 players, they're not going to lose this year.
No, they're not.
The way he speaks about them. All right, more on that on the other side. Plus the latest on Magoon Guas health heading into the Mountain West tournament. Plus the wrap coming up at 4 p.m. Kevin Acee from Peoria at 5:30. Please don't leave us. It's Jon and Jim.
right, AM radio keeps vital voices accessible. Congress can secure its future, but we need your help. Text AM to 52886 now to support keeping AM radio in cars. Tell your member of Congress to pass legislation now and keep AM radio in cars. Standard message and data rates apply. Kevin Acee at 5:30. Sean Lewis, San Diego State football head coach, will join us at 5 p.m. The wrap is coming up. Be listening for the sounder when you hear an Adrian Garcia Marquez goal call from San Diego FC. Call 877-767-4760, and one caller will qualify to win 2 free tickets for Saturday night. That's SDFC against the Columbus Crew.
Yeah, hot ticket. Going to be a very good crowd on Saturday night. And continue to listen for your chance to win. The only place to get SDFC tickets is right here. Like on the radio,
Okay, yeah. Or right, you could go to the website.
You go to the website.
You can buy it.
But what I mean is free tickets.
All right, let's talk about tomorrow for a second, because we haven't really touched on, well, 2 things. San Diego State women, and you've had this in your update.
Yeah.
Much to my surprise that you had this.
It's been the first thing in my update.
I know.
All day long.
I know. I just wanted to make sure you knew, and you did know. So if the women win tonight in Vegas, this is the Mountain West Championship game. They're going to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2013, which is quite an accomplishment. So that's what they're playing for tonight. They took down the top seed yesterday in UNLV. They'll take on Wyoming tonight, which will be a task because they lost to them twice in the regular season. But they're a win away from the NCAA tournament. Then there's the men, who have this huge implication game where if San Diego State wins, they feel like they're probably in the field. And if Boise State wins, they feel like they're at least closer to the field. This is tomorrow at 2:30. Pregame coverage is going to begin at 1:30. But like the $1 million question around the game is Magoon Guath, who has been out for the last 5 games, who has not appeared since hyperextending a knee about 3 weeks ago, about 18, 19, 20 days ago. So do we have any expectations when it comes to Magoon for tomorrow? Like, are you expecting him to be out there tomorrow, starting, getting minutes, warming up, not playing? What are your expectations for that?
What are your expectations for that?
No, what are your expectations for that?
Well, you were there yesterday.
I was.
You might have better expectations for that than I do.
I don't know. That's the thing. I truly don't know. And Dutch doesn't mess around with this stuff. When he says someone's day-to-day, they're day-to-day. When he says we'll only play him if he's healthy, they'll only play him if he's healthy. He was
wearing a brace yesterday during his media availability.
Yep. And Dutch commented on this, I think, on the last coach's show. Like, he had ran on a treadmill maybe at some point last week, and he's been working out. I don't know if he's been practicing in full or not. So if he hasn't been practicing, is he going to have a chance to play? I just don't know. If they make the NCAA tournament, are we going to see him? I would be under the impression that the answer there would be yes. But like, that's a pretty big story, isn't it? Like, you're 2-0 against Boise State. In one of the games, Magoon Guath had 6 blocks.
Yeah.
And the team had 10 in that home win.
And also, always, coming off of injury, it's not like a video game where you can just be like, oh, he's back from injury. Played 35 minutes.
He's a freshman. He's not a 5th-year player.
No. And the last thing you want to do is have him re-aggravate this injury or get injured in another way. So most likely, whenever he does return, if he does return, he's going to be under minutes restriction.
Mm-hmm.
And so how does that potentially, I'm not gonna say throw off the team's rotations, but how does that affect the rotations of the team? Because Miles Heide has been starting, so now he's going to come off the bench theoretically, or Magoon Guath comes off the bench for Miles Heide, and you play him in the important parts of the game. But even then, you got to get your conditioning back up, and you got to get back into game shape. And he hasn't missed like 2 months; he's only missed a couple weeks, but still. Like, it is not as easy as plug and play whenever if Magoon does return here this week.
I think it's a great point. Here's the other thing I thought about. Like, let's say he plays Thursday and you win. I think at that point you might sit him, because you're playing back-to-back days at a minimum if you win. You could play 3 times in 3 days if you win twice. But I feel like you've done the work if you've won a game, and you put yourself in a position where you're likely going to hear your name called on Selection Sunday, and now you give him the full week to get ready for the NCAA tournament. So, like, is it worth playing Thursday, knowing that maybe Thursday is more important than, well, who knows if Friday and Saturday even exist?
Because the feeling here is you're going all out to win on Thursday, just to not secure your spot in the tournament, but to feel pretty decent about it, feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, exactly.
So from that standpoint, if Magoon does suit up tomorrow and does play, then yeah, resting him on Friday. And then hell, if you happen to make the conference championship game on Saturday, maybe he does play in that if they get there, right? Like play on Thursday, rest on Friday, play on Saturday,
Right.
have a week or 4 days off until your first game in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of fascinating, truly. I mean, here's the thing. San Diego State's a slight underdog tomorrow in a game that some would argue they need to win. So, I mean, think about that. They're a slight underdog in a game that they need to win. I mean, there's just so many ways you could look at this. Like, do you use Magoon because you need Magoon? But again, you can't use him if he's not healthy, obviously. Are you capable of winning without Magoon against a team like Boise State 3 times? It's going to be fascinating to see how it all plays out, truthfully. It's hard to beat a team 3 times it is. Gonzaga was a 3.5-point favorite last night. They had lost to St. Mary's College twice, and they beat them by 7 or 8 points last night because everyone's thinking the same thing. Like, is Gonzaga really going to lose 3 times to St. Mary's? And again, that mental psyche, like, is Boise really going to lose 3 times to San Diego State? So the Aztecs got to come out tomorrow as hungry as Boise.
Yeah.
You got to come out like, we are playing to extend our season. If we do not win this game, there is no assurance we play again. That has to be the mentality tomorrow at 2:30.
And the thing is, it's also the mentality of Boise State probably too. So you're dealing with another team with, obviously equal goals in mind for tomorrow, which is if we lose this game, we are like for sure on the bubble, even though we already are on the bubble right now. Like there is a 50-50 chance at best if we lose, we make the tournament.
Right.
That's for both teams. And you win tomorrow, then I think there's a greater than 50% chance that they make the tournament. And then that loser is going to be sitting there all weekend long until Sunday, just kind of biting their nails and just hoping that they get their name called.
I don't want to bite my nails all weekend.
Do you bite your nails?
I will, yeah. When I'm nervous, I will.
I've never bitten my nails before.
Have you ever bitten them?
No.
All right, we'll get to the wrap on the other side. Kevin Acee at 5:30. Sean Lewis, San Diego State football coach, back with us on Jon and Jim at 5 p.m. with spring football underway. We've got those SDFC tickets to give away. Be listening for the Sounder. We'll qualify another listener in the 4 o'clock hours. Jon and Jim.
This update's brought to you by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. We'll start with the Aztecs women's basketball team. They take on Wyoming tonight in the Mountain West Conference Tournament Championship game in Las Vegas. 7:30 tip time. Of course, the Aztecs women's team wins. They will make the NCAA tournament with an automatic bid. Padres Rockies Cactus League play today. It was not a good day for the Padres as they lost 13-2 to the Colorado Rockies. The big story in the game, though, Robert Suarez only going in inning or a half, or sorry, not a half, a third of an inning, giving up 4 earned runs, striking out none. Moving over to tonight at 6 p.m., it's the debut of SDFC's midweek live show with Adrian Garcia Marquez and Darren Smith, giving you an hour of SDFC talk from 6 to 7 right here on San Diego Sports 760. Make a move with Anderson and upgrade your water heater. You'll increase comfort and your home's value. And here's a hot deal. Get a free water pressure regulator worth $1,300. Get started at AndersonPHA.com today.
Getting you all set for that drive home.
Got some power, probably a little too much.
Well, then.
All right, so he's got 6 tools. He's got a high baseball IQ, and then he has. Not only does he have power, he has too much power.
Too much power.
he's got to rein it in. He's been hitting the ball too far. They can't collect the ball. They have to race out into the parking lot.
He's hitting it too hard.
Away.
He's literally knocking the covers off the ball.
You're using too many of our baseballs.
Right.
We don't have enough.
We need to bring a couple balls back here in the field of play.
He has too much power. He hit 10 home runs 2 years ago.
They're just getting more powerfuler and more powerfuler by the day. He hit 17 last year?
Yeah. 700 OPI. I don't even know what to say, dude.
Let's just start the show. Here's Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California is going on. Hour 3, Jon and Jim. Be listening for that goal call from Adrian Garcia Marquez, because when you hear it, call 877-767-4760. You'll hear it this hour. And when you hear it, call that number. You'll be qualified for a chance to win 2 free tickets to see San Diego FC against the Columbus Crew Saturday night at 7:30. Maybe they'll push across a couple of runs in the first quarter of that game. Maybe in the third period, they'll kick one in, Jim. Just like
Are you making fun of me right now?
Just like Suarez in that half inning he threw today.
Give up only a couple points.
I'm kidding.
Give up a couple points.
Here, I have pet peeves. Can I give you a pet peeve?
Sure.
You don't do any of them, I don't think.
Thank goodness.
Okay, here are a couple. I like when someone says like he pitched 0.1 inning. No, there's no 0.1.
No.
Okay, it's a third of an inning or 2/3 of an inning. There's no right. I mean, you misspoke in the half inning. There are no half innings because there's 3 outs.
For some reason, that update, I was very out of it.
Oh, I don't like when someone said
with most updates.
Oh, he had a 2 RBI single. No, it's a 2-run single.
Oh yeah,
it's not a 2-run batted in single.
Mm-hmm.
This is give me a pet peeve.
Oh, when
like a sport saying or
when the Padres lost to the Rockies today 13-13. Yeah, the Padres lost to the Rockies today 2-13.
Oh god. That is the absolute worst.
Never.
Or no, it's more NBA like, Warriors lost 96-102. I'm like, no, they didn't. They lost 102-96.
Never put
the lower number before that. It's just confusing.
And I don't rarely hear that. Like,
no, you do rarely hear it.
I rarely hear that. I don't. Why am I drunk right now? What happened? What was in that Reese's cup?
I just had one too.
I know. You okay?
I always go back to a national update on Fox Sports Radio when they were talking about Seton Hall, but they call him Seton Hall.
Seton Hall, yeah.
It's your national radio.
Does this have like a gummy in it?
Anyway. It might do. Give me another one. I heard a great. Did you hear when? Did you hear when it wasn't like Carl Ravitch, but it was one of those ESPN guys? He was calling an SEC game and he was so confused. He's like, the SEC was awesome in the non-conference. They won like 80% of their games, but in conference, the SEC is only winning half their games. Like, because they're playing each other.
Yeah, everyone's gonna.
At the end of the major league season, the combined record is 500.
Right,
because the Dodgers are good and the A's suck.
Right, exactly. Trying to think off the top of my head right now on the spot. I'm sure there's going to be more that come to me, but
I was going to say 70470. Like, give me that like pet peeve when it comes to something like that, like that sporting pet peeve. 70470 started with team. You got one, Brian?
It's the correct terminology, but it still bugs me in baseball when they will, instead of saying, oh yeah, he's in his 15th season, they'll be like, oh, he's in his 15th, how do they say it? Like a year or something. They phrase it weird in baseball.
Okay.
They don't do it in any other sport.
Okay.
Service time. Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. To where instead of just being like, oh yeah, he's been in the league for 12 years. They'll be like, oh, he's entering his 13th year of service or something. Like they instead of just, and they wouldn't do that in any other sport.
By the way, 858, I think this might have been, what time was 14:53? This was an hour ago.
Yeah.
Opening up the text line, though, if you want to chime in. 70470 started with team. 858 says another dopey conversation about the Padres. Dude is working on secondary pitches.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
I wrote back.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Ruben.
Thanks, my guy.
Are you in on the
another
internal?
Dope? Here's
okay. That's our buddy that said that the Aztec basketball program is in its demise. It's the same guy.
I would love for you. What's the first 3 digits of his phone number?
858.
I would love 858 number.
Here's the full number. I'm kidding.
No.
I'm kidding.
Never do it.
I'm kidding.
I want you, because it's a San Diego area code.
Okay.
I want you to come in and I want you to get on the mic. And I want you
to come in.
I want you to give us your opinion, or better yet, you can call us 877-767-4760.
I'd prefer that. Tim, come in.
Well, I was like, people are like, why are you talking about this? Because we're hosting a sports talk radio show in San Diego, moron.
We're on the air for 4 hours.
We have to talk about something.
What do you want us to talk about?
Exactly. Do you want us to talk about Padres baseball, or do you want us to just sit
do you
here
want to
and
talk about DeMarcus Russell in 03?
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's
seriously.
Yeah. You think you could do this job better than I want you?
Good. We probably have hours for you. What hour would you like to host? You know what I mean?
Call in, my guy. You're Mr. Tough Guy on the text line.
He is Mr. Tough Guy.
But you're not Mr. Tough Guy using your actual voice on the radio.
Yeah, it is always interesting to be like, why would you be talking about this? It's the job. I mean, we can talk about Aaron Rodgers as a free agent for the first time of his career, and we do. We'll dabble on, right? NFL, NBA. We get to all of it. There's time for everything. If there's an important national sports story, you will hear our commentary on it.
You know what's great too about having a local sports talk show compared to, I don't know, a national show. Or one of those talking head shows like First Take or whatever. We can talk about whatever we want to talk about. The people national shows, like I know Colin, like he gets literally a rundown of things that they're talking about. There's a reason why Aaron Rodgers has been talked about 75 times today, because the ridiculous producers at ESPN, for some god-awful reason, want to keep on talking about Aaron Rodgers. Why does Colin talk about LeBron James so much, right? Or Kevin Durant or Aaron Rodgers? Like, he's not sitting there being like, I want to talk about these guys. No, he's getting fed by the producers what to say.
Right. That, and they know they know where their bread is buttered.
That's what exactly.
Is Colin going to go on the air to start a show and be like, Gavin Sheets? He can't do that, but we can.
Now, again, to your point there, we know where our bread is buttered. And that's why in San Diego, we're talking Padres baseball. It's pretty simple.
Right.
Right. Like if you're in New York, you're talking about the Jets and the Giants and the Yankees and the Mets and the Knicks. That's pretty simple. So you're in San Francisco, you're talking about the Niners and the Giants and the Warriors. Pretty simple. So 858 number. I would love for you to call in the show. It's an open invite.
Not gonna happen.
Open invite, my guy. Whenever you want to call in, we will stop anything we're doing unless we have an interview, and we will put you on the air. And we want to hear your takes because apparently you think you know it all.
There's some good pet peeves, by the way. Like 619 says, my pet peeve is when people say RBIs. He doesn't have 75 run batted ins.
Do you like when someone abbreviates it and says like ribbies?
No, I don't.
Okay.
Truthfully.
Like 85 ribbies?
I don't, but I'm fine. I don't hate it. Someone 360 says when they interview players while the game is on.
Oh, yeah.
Like during the game.
It's not even a term. It's just a thing.
What about, I do agree with this. 619 golf. So-and-so finishes -7. Correct. Finishes.
Oh, that's a good one.
7 under par.
7 under.
Yeah, like -7. Like they're not -7.
Yeah. You can say finished 3 over par.
Yeah, 3 over, 3 under.
3 under par. He was +3 on the day. You could say that.
619 says a pet peeve is the modern day quality start stat. 6 innings and 3 runs or less. 6 innings and 3 runs is a 4.5 ERA. Yeah, it's a quality start. Bugs me. I've heard that before. 218 says you could talk about Ovechkin closing in on Gretzky's all-time goals record.
I didn't even know
He's
that.
within 8, I think.
I had no clue.
Saw it on SportsCenter last night.
I had no clue.
Yeah, we have a huge Ovechkin audience here.
We do have a
but a
massive
bigger
audience.
Gretzky audience.
Yeah.
Who's the GOAT?
Who's the GOAT?
Ovechkin or Gretzky?
Could we throw in Crosby?
Sure. You can.
If you
Absolutely,
want.
man.
Maybe that'll be a future train wreck.
Yeah, probably.
I like it.
I don't even know where we were going. Oh, it was you saying that somebody threw a half inning or whatever.
Oh yeah, because I'm an idiot.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're not. There's others. I need to think about others. One more. 619 says, I hate it when baseball announcers say he offered at it instead of just saying a swing and a miss. Seems like they're trying to be a little bit too sophisticated.
Well, those are more like
that's like a check swing thing.
Those are more like baseball sayings, not like the team lost today 5-7.
That is the worst.
Yeah,
I'm sorry that.
Yeah.
Now I also have always had. Now I'll probably guilty as charged. I've probably done it during my career with Major League Soccer. Called it the MLS before.
Yeah.
I even hear people that cover MLS do
or
that.
the MLB
because that's the one that gets me. The MLB, not because MLS hasn't been around as long, obviously. So I feel like that can get confusing.
Oh,
at
I got
times.
one.
Okay,
I got one. When constantly people talk about the NBA and just say the National Basketball Association.
You hate that. You also hate the National Football League, don't you?
Not as much as the National Basketball Association. Right. I can deal with National Football League, but like when you're talking NBA and you just have to you're trying to kill some time. You're like, we'll head over to the National Basketball Association. You're like, just say the NBA, bro. We're not stop trying to be cute.
I'm pretty sure Kevin, he's got an article on John Seidler with quotes.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Now we can stop talking about this.
It is a long article.
Oh, boy.
All right. And Kevin's going to join us at 5:30. So Kevin has spoken with John Seidler, who officially took over as chairman today. So that's okay. That's going to be interesting. Look at this. Look at this photo. Look at John Seidler.
He's there.
He's shooting it up. He wants to know more about Campy.
Look
at that.
That looks 100% staged.
So that's what I was going to say. This PR campaign is underway, right?
That is a staged.
All right. So Kevin Acee is going to join us coming up at 5:30. Sean Lewis will join us at 5. San Diego State's football coach. We will get to the wrap on the other side. Be listening for that Adrian Garcia Marquez goal call. When you hear it, call 877-767-4760 for a chance to win San Diego FC tickets for Saturday night. This is Jon and Jim.
Addiction to drugs, including opioids and stimulants, can strip away the things that make you uniquely you. Recover your life. Choose a proven drug addiction treatment option that's right for you. Recover you at choosechangeca.org.
Diego's going dancing.
Maybe the biggest shot of his life.
The path to one shining moment begins. Sunday at 3. It's the NCAA Tournament Selection Show. Listen to the bracket take shape with a full breakdown of the tournament and the first look at the early round matchups. The dance lives here.
Aggressive layup, good, and a foul.
San Diego Sports. 760. America's finest sports station.
All right, well, this is interesting. All right, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. I can't wait to talk to Kevin Acee at 5:30, who spent a good amount of time today or within the last day or so with John Seidler, who is now the official chairman of the San Diego Padres. In this lengthy article, there is, let me read this quote. I mean, I don't even know what to say, but I'm going to read this quote anyway. Okay? Kevin will join us at 5:30. We'll get to the wrap we want.
I was reading the article with you. Everything was fine.
Until this.
And I'm like, I cannot believe you said this.
So this probably isn't on my day one talking points bingo card or something I would say on day one as an owner of the San Diego Padres. Direct quote from John Seidler. For 50-something years, I was a Dodgers fan. Now, Peter was a Dodgers fan for just as long, minus 1 year, because I'm 15 months older than Peter was. We all bled Dodger blue back in the day. Everything changed when we became involved in the Padres. For Peter and Tom, who were working with the Padres out of the chute, their change was 100% and absolute. It was like a switch flipped. It was off and then it was on. Mine was slightly more gradual. Then he goes on to say, so I've been a beat LA Padres fan since 2012.
Even if that is true, right? Which is it's
don't
fine.
Lead with it.
We don't, did me and John grow up in San Diego? We not.
Keep it out of your cover letter.
It just, you never say that. You never, I don't care that you grew up in LA. It's fine. But you do not want to lead on day one that you were rooting for the Dodgers for 50 years or whatever the number is.
More than 50, he said.
You can't do that. You can say, I grew up in LA. Obviously, our family has ties to the Dodgers. But now being in San Diego for as long as we've had, we bleed brown and gold. It's Padres 24/7, and our main goal and objective every single year is to beat the Dodgers, get past them, and win our first World Series championship. That's what you say. You do not lead with, yeah, you know what? I rooted for the Dodgers my whole life. Like, no, dude.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. And again, to your point, you could say, listen, you can absolutely throw in there, we didn't grow up Padres fans,
100%.
but I've never been more passionate about any team in my life than I am right now about the San Diego Padres. You're good. You're good.
You have to lean pro Padres
I
here.
don't think Mark Cuban grew up a Dallas Mavericks fan.
No.
But nobody cares because he didn't say on day one, I grew up a diehard Houston Rockets fan. I'm assuming he didn't say that on day one.
I mean, it was all going so well
for an hour.
For 12 minutes in that article that Kevin released. And I'm glad we're going to talk to Kevin today at 5:30.
Oh, it's great.
The picture in the article is amazing because it is 100% a staged picture.
Who does he look like here? Like, just give me a person. Doesn't he reminds me of someone, Jim. I don't know who.
Okay, from that angle, like if you just look at it very just stay with me.
Yep.
He kind of has the face of like a George Steinbrenner. Am I wrong?
I wasn't going there, but there's someone that he reminds me of. You can see this at the UT. He almost looks like Mike Schultz's dad a little bit to me. But I don't know who it is.
And look, again, I like the things that John said in there about how, excuse me, things are going to stay the same. I'm not coming in here and change anything. I'm not ruffling any feathers. Like the baseball ops, we're going to let them do their job. The business side, like we are going to do everything we can to win a World Series. And I'm not coming in here trying to change anything. I'm coming in to, take over for my brother, who the number one goal is to keep his legacy alive and, build a team that the city can be proud of and go out there and compete for a World Series. Like that's great. Sure. You want to hear that. What I don't want to hear is your love for the Dodgers, or at least that you were a diehard fan of them for majority of your life.
You're right. Now, we always know the story that Peter's the grandson of the O'Malleys, and the O'Malleys ran the Dodgers. We know that.
You never heard Peter once mention his previous fandom growing up of the Dodgers. Hell, the dude wouldn't even say the Dodgers name.
Right.
He'd be like, that team up north.
Right.
He would never, ever, and I could be mistaken. Maybe there's an article out there somewhere where he does talk about it.
Yeah.
But I can't remember a time where Peter was open about his Dodger fandom before he became, part owners of the San Diego Padres. I can't remember a time that he expressed that, because you know what? He knows knows how to read the room. And reading the room is when you become an owner of a rival team, if that were you'd never mention that you were a fan of the other team. You are now Padres, like you bleed Padres gold and brown.
Yeah, you kind of run away from it. Like if you're a Stanford grad that becomes the AD at Cal, you kind of separate from that. He also said this that I found to be kind of interesting. He's quoted as saying, "We came up 9 wins shy of where we would like to be, but we had the Dodgers on the ropes, and then the baseball gods interjected, and the bats went quiet." Okay,
it's fine.
I mean, again, I've heard Peter use the baseball gods terminology or reference before. I've never been a big 9-win shy guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's not okay. I mean, it's not that. I don't know what that's really telling me. And having the Dodgers on the ropes, we've talked about this. That is, I guess, factual. But at the end of the day, it's how many times you heard me say recently, it's zero sum. Like either beat them in the series or you don't. They did in 2022. They didn't in 2024.
I mean, truthfully, none of that bothers me. None of that stuff.
Right.
I think I read it and I'm like, okay, yeah, okay, that's good, it's fine, it's fine. Like none of that bothers me. I think that he did a very good job of giving these quotes in the first half of this article. What I do have a problem with is what I posted. We just talked about. Like another thing too. Like you just threw Peter under the bus, bro.
I feel like he was a Dodger fan too, just 1 year less. Yeah.
Like Peter never, ever wanted to talk about the Dodgers. I know it was known, right? It was known, but just again, not something you want to lead with on day one about how you grew up a Dodgers fan and you were a Dodger fan for 50 years. It was kind of already implied, right? Because of your family lineage, your family tree that, yes, you grew up rooting for the Dodgers, or at least, you have ties to the Dodgers, right? Because your family. It's kind of implied. We don't need to talk about it.
Sure.
And then to have that in there, you're like, yeah, because you know who's not going to like that? Padres fans.
I agree with that. And he was quoted on the lawsuit as well. He says this: "It saddens me that there was a lawsuit. It's unfortunate that it spilled out into the public, that it has taken some focus off what ideally would otherwise be solely on the Padres. The lawyers are working to resolve that through the legal process, and I'm hoping it's resolved quickly and amicably. But other than that, I can't comment." Regarding Shield Seidler's lawsuit that was filed at the beginning of 2025. Well, it's day one, it's day one. And he's ultimately like, I was talking about Manny with heavy as the head that wears the crown. It's kind of on Jon Seidler. I mean, you can't find more beloved owner in professional sports in recent history than Peter Seidler. He's right there. Yeah. He was right there. Yeah. John's not going to walk in with the same, this isn't even a word, I don't think, belovedness. Like he's not going to just assume where Peter left off because his last name is Seidler. Right. I don't think. With the Shield Seidler lawsuit, with this offseason, with the disappointment of how last year ended in the postseason, I just don't think that because his last name is the same, he's going to be given the same, I don't know. He's going to ascend to that level immediately. Like they're going to have to prove it with success under his leadership in the years ahead.
And it's not like the worst thing he could have possibly said. The worst thing he possibly said is like, you know what? Yeah, I think about moving this team in a couple of years, right? Like that again, or like, yeah, maybe we're going to sell off Manny Machado. You know?
I'm glad Shield said that because we have actually had those conversations.
Right, exactly. Internally. Saying grew up a Dodgers fan. I think
not grew up 50 plus, I know more than 50 years.
I think that was a stupid thing to say. I do. I think that it's already implied, like I said, that they have ties to the Dodgers before 2012. Duh. The O'Malley family, like, give me a break. We all know that. So don't bring it up. Like, we're moving on. And you are now the owner of this team.
Whoa. How do we miss this quote?
What?
When crowds started chanting "Beat LA," I couldn't quite bring myself to get that out. There was just a little part of me somewhere deep down inside. It's hard to push 50 years worth of experience out the window.
What? Are you serious?
Dead serious.
Hold
Because
on.
Talking Friars doesn't miss us tweets.
Are you kidding me?
When the crowd started chanting "Beat LA," I couldn't quite bring myself to get that out. There was just a little part of me somewhere deep down inside. It's hard to push 50 years worth of experience out the window. Imagine all that Dodger memorabilia at the rally.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
Ben's like,
so cool with
I
it.
don't care about it.
As long as
Gunner.
we win. All right, let's react to that on the other side. Jon and Jim.
Hey, Joy. Oh, you are glowing. Oh, hey. More like Mira Joyed. That Miralax helped me go. I was so backed up. Tried mega coffees, prune juice, everything. Then Miralax. And hello, gentle relief without the harsh side effects. Ooh, how does it work? It works naturally with the water in your body for constipation relief. Find Miralax today at Walmart.
Use as directed for occasional constipation.
All right, this update is brought to you by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. We'll start with the Aztecs women's basketball team. It's a pretty big game tonight, right, John? Yeah. Kind of like a must-win game. They take on Wyoming tonight in the Mountain West Conference Championship game, 7:30 tip time in Las Vegas. Rockies beat up the Padres today in Cactus League play, 13-2. Robert Suarez going to third of an inning, giving up 4 earned runs and striking out nobody. And tonight at 6 p.m., it's the debut of SDFC Midweek Live with Adrian Garcia Marquez and Darren Smith. giving you an hour of SDFC talk from 6 to 7 p.m. tonight on San Diego Sports 760. Make a move with Anderson and upgrade your water heater. You'll increase comfort and your home's value. And here's a hot deal. Get a free water pressure regulator worth $1,300. Get started at AndersonPHA.com today.
All right, so we're all kind of reading this together, and we mentioned it on the way out of the last segment that John Seidler, for the first time, is quoted publicly as he's taken over officially as chairman of the Padres like hours ago, right? Today is his first day officially as chairman of the San Diego Padres. So on day one, we told you some of what he said. He went on to say, and here's the verbatim quote, when the crowd started chanting "Beat LA," I couldn't quite bring myself to get that out. There was just a little part of me somewhere deep down inside. It's hard to push 50 years worth of experience out the window. This was on the heels of him saying for 50 something years, I was a Dodgers fan. Peter was a Dodgers fan for just as long, minus 1 year, because I'm 15 months older than Peter was. We all bled Dodger blue back in the day. Everything changed when we became involved in the Padres. For Peter and Tom, who were working with the Padres out of the chute, their change was 100% an absolute. It was like a switch flipped. It was off and then it was on. Mine was slightly more gradual. Now, again, some people have said, Jim, we appreciate the transparency, but I mean, this is kind of PR 101. I mean, what are you talking about? You're owning the San Diego Padres and talking about your love for the LA Dodgers on day one? On day one, I'm trying to avoid that at all costs.
The new owner of the San Diego Padres had a very hard time saying beat LA last postseason.
That was last postseason.
I mean, what else is he talking about?
Faced him 3 times in the postseason.
Okay. So he's had a hard time every single time they faced off in the postseason.
What did it say?
If I'm not mistaken, it sounds like he's talking about last postseason.
At his first Padres-Dodgers game as a minority owner in 2012, John Seidler was all in on his new team. I was rooting for the Padres. Everything the Padres did that was good, I was cheering for. But there was one thing he could not get into.
Okay. Well, then I want to follow up. Were you able to do that now, John? Are you able to say beat LA now? Because I don't think that was asked, was it? Or am I wrong?
And it is because we said, so I've been a beat LA Padres fan since 2012. As if to say, like, initially I couldn't get it out, but now I can. I just needed a bit of a nudge, and now I can say I've completed the 12-step program, and I'm never going back.
Give me a break.
Do you think this is all like insanity?
I think it's a pretty big misstep on his part. I do. I think that, like I said, it was implied going into this that the Seidlers that are a part of the O'Malley family grew up with heavy Dodger ties and that they were all Dodger fans. Okay. But you, as the new owner of this team, all right, with on the heels of the beloved Peter Seidler, who didn't even want to say the Dodgers name. He would go as far as to say just the team up north, slay the dragon, the team up north. He would never talk about the Dodgers in past tense about how he rooted for them, or it was hard for him to say beat LA when he became, minority owner of the San Diego Padres. Like, unless I'm mistaken, unless there's an article out there saying that, I can't remember a time when Peter became the full control person of this team where he mentioned that at all. And it's just implied. You just know that you just know Peter's like history. But to come in day one and say these things about the Dodgers, that is the last thing you want to say.
Right.
My guy.
You can't control. Right. I mean, it's not his fault that his grandfather owned the Dodgers and moved from Brooklyn to LA. It's like, you're not responsible for like who your parents are, where you're born, or what religion you're born in. You know what I mean? But like with something like this, especially, we've talked about now for years that one of the budding rivalries in the sport is Padres Dodgers. Like,
That's not just us saying it. There's people nationally that say, I'm not saying it's Cardinals, Cubs, or Yankees, Red Sox, but it's a budding rivalry in the sport. And you need to look no further than like, imagine this playing out with the Yankees, Red Sox. Imagine this playing out with Cubs, Cardinals. Imagine this playing out with Michigan, Ohio State. How would that be received? Duke, Carolina,
Packers, Bears,
and so on and so forth. So again, we get it. You could have some affiliations or ties to the other in a rivalry. That's absolutely a possibility. Players have played for both sides. Managers have managed both sides before. Maybe you get my point. But you don't want to lead with it, right?
No.
That's not your first. You know what I mean? If you're on a first date with someone, I don't know if you want to lead with the fact that you've been divorced 11 times on your first date.
No.
You know what I mean? Like you want to lead with use the best material off the top.
I wish it would have been like a full denouncing of the Dodgers in this part. Like this is the first time we're hearing from Jon. This is the first quotes that we're seeing from Jon as now control person of the team.
Right.
And there are a lot of good stuff in there. There's a lot of good stuff in there. A lot of stuff I like. But it's hard when like you have this giant pimple with a whitehead on it. And it's like you can't take your eyes off it. And that to me is his quotes about the Dodgers. That like you have to, in my opinion, all right, probably some fans don't care. Some fans are going to care more than others. But in my opinion, that is like you said, PR 101. You denounce the team's rival at all costs, even though even though your history has you linked with them.
This is a classic. I now finally have come to the right words. And because I say this all the time over the 3+ year history of Jon and Jim, this is a classic. Other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how's the play? Right? You can't get away from this. Like, I don't care what else is in the story. When you say, I can't say beat LA, and for 50+ years, I was a diehard Dodger fan that bled blue, right? Like that's the lead. You can't escape that. It's other than that, Mrs. Lincoln, how is the play? Nothing else matters when that is your day one, statements to the public. This is what the public sees. Kevin has said this. He's right. The conduit, the role that Kevin is serving here is this is the first time Padres fans are hearing from John Seiler. The first time.
And I also don't like, even if it's back in 2012, right, when the Seilers became the majority owners of the team, I don't even like him saying, it was hard for me back then to root for the Padres. Like the second you sign on the dotted line, it's F the Dodgers. Like plain and simple. The second you sign on the dotted line and you own a majority or part of the Padres, it is F the Dodgers from that point forward.
To your point, like where's Manny Machado being like, you know what? I played for him. I'm kind of cool with it. You know what? I have a lot of friends over there. You know what? They beat us fair and square.
When we play the Dodgers, if they have a big time moment, I kind of sit there in the dugout, be like, that's kind of cool.
I go out with a lot of these guys after the games, truthfully. Our wives are close friends, and I hold no ill will towards them. In fact, I root for them when we're not playing them. Can you imagine if he said something like that? Now, maybe that's a step further than what John Seiler said here, but maybe not. I mean, John Seiler went out of his way to say that he was a Dodger fan for 50+ years, bled blue, and can't say I hate LA.
Yeah, it's not good.
Or not hate LA, beat LA.
He can't even say that.
Yeah, not hate LA. That wasn't even part of the story. It's beat LA.
He's like, I had to go through extensive therapy to bring myself to root for the Padres while you are a minority owner of the Padres. Yeah, dude, give me a break.
It's not a great look.
It's a horrible look. Now, is this going to define his legacy? I hope not.
I'm just kidding.
I hope not. But for the foreseeable future, you don't think Dodger fans are going to find this and be like, oh my God.
Padres owner likes us more than them.
Yeah. This is just, and I see people commenting with like, would you rather have him lie? I'd rather him say nothing.
He wasn't asked. He wasn't interrogated. This is an article about him. Kevin was like, I need to know right now what day you started your Dodger affiliation. That's not how this plays out.
What you say, it's very simple. I grew up a Dodgers fan. I was a Dodger fan for 50 years. when
No, I don't even say that.
Even if he does say that, this is how you fix that, right? Yeah, I was a Dodger fan for 50 years, but when we became the minority owners, me and our brothers of the San Diego Padres, like from that day forward,
I disown them.
It's 100% Padres.
I took the Dodger stuff I owned and I threw it in the trash.
That's how you fix being a fan of a team, 50 years and then becoming the minority owner. Yeah, does it kind of like rub you a little bit that the wrong way that your new owners of the team they're all Dodger fans? Like, yeah, but it would be nice if the second that happened, John's like, yeah, the second that happened, it was FLA beat LA, and he just didn't say that. Instead, it was hard for him to root for the Padres in that moment.
All right, we'll continue to react over the final hour plus of the show. But if you would like to win 2 free tickets to see the Pixies with Spoon and Phaser Days, August 27th at Gallagher Square, Petco Park, call 877-767-4760 right now. So we have 2 free tickets to see the Pixies right here in San Diego, August 27th, Gallagher Square, Petco Park. The number to call is 877-767-4760. First 2 callers will be contestants for trivia. We call it Trainwreck Radio. And Kevin Acee, by the way, with full reaction coming up at 5:30. Again, the number to call, 877-767-4760. We've got a pair of tickets to see the Pixies, August 27th at Gallagher Square, Petco Park. Kevin Acee at 5:30. Jon and Jim.
Get ready to serve up some excitement with Major League Volleyball. Your San Diego Mojo are here at Viejas Arena, so you can get close to all the volleyball action. Get tickets starting at $15 at letsgomojo.com. That's letsgomojo.com.
Hey, it's Fletch for Prize Picks, the best place to get real money sports action here in California. With over 10 million members, billions of dollars awarded in winnings so far, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. Look, it's a pretty big time of year for basketball. This app is the one you need. Prize Picks, super easy to use. To create a lineup, all you got to do is pick more or less on a few player stats for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your money. Prize Picks is the best place to win real money this basketball season. Which players are going off, which players aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds and turn your sports opinions into real money all season long on Prize Picks. All withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When my picks hit, I get my money in as quick as 15 minutes. Download the app today. Use promo code Fletch, that's FLETCH, to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code Fletch on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game all season long on Prize Picks.
Bro, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills right now.
Why?
Because,
well, hold on real quick. We need contestant 2 just dropped off. If you want free Pixies tickets, call. What was that bump?
I don't know.
877-767-4760. Sean Lewis will join us in 12 minutes. Kevin Acee at 5:30. Call 877-767-4760 if you want 2 free tickets to see the Pixies here in San Diego, August 27th at Gallagher Square. The next caller will play Brandon for a chance to win those tickets. We'll have trivia coming up. So call 877-767-4760 if you want free tickets, 2 free tickets to see the Pixies August 27th, Gallagher Square, Petco Park.
a lot of replies. Not everyone, but there's a lot out there in social media and X. Like, it's not a full barometer of Padres fans, right? It's a handful, maybe more than that. But a lot of comments are saying this, John, that they like the honesty and it wouldn't have changed the truth, and it is what it is, and at least he can be honest. And I'm glad he addressed the elephant in the room, and this is fine.
Well, you know, you're always looking at it through like rose-colored glass. You know what I mean? Like when I get it. It's the owner of your team. I mean, what are you gonna do? Like turn on the guy day one? That's the thing. Like you're gonna have conflicting emotions here. You're gonna want to support. So, I mean, again, it's not the end of the world. I don't think it's gonna have an impact on their win total. I don't think it's gonna impact their free agent, signings. It's just not a good look. It's not a good. Nope. It's PR 101. Like you lead with your best material, not your worst.
Yeah, I will die on this hill. That what he said today, he should not have said. I will die on that hill. Absolutely. I don't care what anybody says.
I mean, it's not even arguable. I mean, that is not any hot take. That's not arguable.
No, sorry. Shouldn't have said it. Shouldn't have said it. And
I'll be interested to hear what Kevin has to say about it.
Well, okay. I know. But like, I am sorry. You shouldn't have said that, John. You don't lead.
John Seidler.
Yeah, John Seidler. You don't lead with that on day one. Everybody knows, okay, your history and growing up and your fandom because of your family. Like, we get it. We know it. I don't want to hear it. It's like, here's a perfect example. So when you're in a relationship, like me and Aaron, all right, I met her a couple years ago, 3 years ago. I was 3. Aaron was 28 or something like that, right? It's not like on our first date, if I was like, so tell me about your past relationships. I don't care. I don't want to know.
No, but if you did say that, it would be surprising if she's like, oh, you know what? It's so funny you asked. Let me tell you about, she's not going to lead with the word. She's not going to be like, oh man, what do I tell you? I dated 100 guys last year.
Yeah.
She's not going to say that.
Now she's not, but if she does, I'm going to be like, oh, probably shouldn't have asked that, or probably shouldn't have led with that on the first date you have.
All right, we'll get back to it. Right now, let's play Sean Lewis at 5 p.m.
All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline. Today's 2 contestants. We have Brandon and we have Ryan. Brandon, you called in first, so you have your choice of Jon or Jim. Who do you want to go with?
I'll go with Jon.
All right, so Brandon and Jon.
That means Ryan, you get me, okay? Jim, you got it?
Lucky me.
All right, let's go, buddy. Brent, what is the question of the day?
All right, guys, the Major League Baseball regular season will begin in about 2 weeks. Today's question, which 6 teams will have the most travel miles this upcoming season? And a side note, this does not include the Korea series. Okay. So we're just talking domestic travel here. So
I mean, Japan series?
Oh, Japan, yeah.
Typo.
Yeah.
So we're just talking the domestic ones. So which 6 teams in Major League Baseball will have the most travel miles this season?
Wow.
Interesting.
All right. Ryan, you're up first. What's your first guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
I mean, let's go with San Diego.
Okay, let's go with the Padres.
There
we go on the list. Brandon, you're up next. What is your first guess? You have a lifeline if you want to use it.
How about the Mariners?
The Mariners.
The Mariners. Makes sense. In the corner of the country. No, they're not in the corner of the country. They moved.
Ryan, back to you. What is your second guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
In light of that last conversation, beat LA Dodgers.
The LA Dodgers. On the list.
Wow.
Not counting Japan. There we go. Brandon, you're going to need to stay in the game. What is your second guess? You do have a lifeline, which is John, if you want to use it.
I'll go San Francisco.
San Francisco Giants on the list.
Okay. Ryan could have a walk-off right here with the correct answer. What is your final guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
I think I'm going to walk off like it was out of Wrigley Field and say the Chicago Cubs.
Chicago Cubs?
Oh, you hate me.
Oh, no. Brandon, to stay in the game here, what is your final guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
Well, what's your guess for the lifeline? What will we get?
Is that me?
That's you, buddy.
I like going with the corner teams. I'll give you the Miami Marlins. Corner being like corner of the country. Take the Marlins?
I'll take the Marlins.
Are the fish on the list? Boom. How about that? Corner teams.
Wow. We're in overtime now, right?
We're going to OT.
Okay. So we're going to overtime. Brent, give us the rules of overtime and then give us the question of overtime.
All right, guys, how overtime is going to work is I'm going to ask you a different question. When I'm done asking the question, you're going to yell out the name of your partner today, either John or Jim. Don't yell out your name. Whoever yells out the name of their partner first, you're going to win the game by getting the question right, or you're going to lose the game by getting the question wrong. Do you guys got it?
Yep.
All right, guys, today's overtime question. Who is the new chairman of the Padres?
Jim.
I heard Jim.
What do you got, Ryan?
Ryan, what's your guess?
John Tyler.
John
Seiler.
Seiler
There we
for
go.
the win. Congratulations. You are going to see the Pixies August 27th, Gallagher Square, Petco Park. Brent, quickly, because we have, again, Sean Lewis joining us at 5 p.m., Kevin Acee at 5:30. Who were the teams with the most miles traveled this year?
All right, his Cubs guess was bad because they travel the least out of everyone all year. The Padres are traveling the most, then the Marlins, then the Giants, then the Doyers, then Arizona, then the Rangers, and then the Insert Town Athletics.
Insert Town Athletics. I like that.
Insert Town Athletics.
All right, on the other side.
It's funny because they have Sacramento in parentheses.
Sean Lewis. Spring football underway on the Mesa. Excited to catch up with Sean Lewis, the quarterback situation, the returnees, getting ready for the 2025 football season on the Mesa. Then Kevin Acee on John Seiler. He wrote about him. John Seiler, day one as chairman.
It's gone beautifully today.
Just a standard, normal day one. Hour 4 of John and Jim is next.
Southbound 5 still seeing some slow traffic downtown from the airport down past the 15 connector. Southbound 805 is going to be busy between the 52 and the 94. And up the North County, CHP still working on a crash in the westbound 78 at Sycamore. That's now out of travel lanes. I'm Jaron Edwards with a look at San Diego traffic.
All right, so what could you do with an extra $75,000 right now, or even a couple $100,000? If you own a home, you can get that money in less than a week with Loan Pronto. Hey guys, it is Schaefer. Loan Pronto is the leader in quickly converting your home equity into cold hard cash, so you can pay off all your credit cards or start that home remodel. Loan Pronto has several easy options to let you access the cash from your home. There's virtually no paperwork, no cumbersome process, no junk fees, and often no appraisal. Listen, the average homeowner now has over $300,000 in equity. That's your money. Use it. One client got $150,000 out, paid off all their credit cards, 2 car loans, and a personal loan, cutting their monthly expenses by $1,500. You can get approved in as little as 1 day. So act now with no hard credit pull up front. LoanPronto.com, 619-207-4336. Get the money you need for anything. 619-207-4336.
or loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. Subject to lender approval, NMLS consumeraccess.org.
At Skechers, we put the S in comfort.
Wait. Skechers put the S in comfort?
Yes, comfort you have to feel to believe. Skechers, we put the S in comfort.
Let me try. Okay, I'm just stepping in and... Oh, wow. Skechers put the S in comfort.
Duh. We told you.
Find Skechers slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
All right, this update is brought to you by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. We'll start with San Diego State women's basketball. Last night, they beat top-seeded UNLV to advance to the Mountain West Conference title game, which is tonight in Las Vegas. They'll take on Wyoming. 7:30 tip time there. Padres, Rockies, Cactus League play today. Rockies beating the Padres 13-2 in the game. Robert Suarez going a third of an inning, giving up 5 hits and 4 runs, striking out nobody. And tonight at 6 p.m., it's the debut of SDFC Midweek Live with Adrian Garcia Marquez and Darren Smith, giving you an hour of SDFC talk from 6 to 7 right here on San Diego Sports 760. Make a move with Anderson and upgrade your water heater. You'll increase comfort and your home's value. And here's a hot deal. Get a free water pressure regulator worth $1,300. Get started at AndersonPHA.com today.
Getting you all set for that drive home. Let's just start the show. Here's Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 4 of Jon and Jim with you until 6 p.m. Again, Kevin Acee, our Padres insider, will join us at 5:30, but it's always our pleasure on the home of the Aztecs to catch up with San Diego State's head football coach, Sean Lewis, with spring practice underway as we're heading towards that spring showcase, the Aztec Fast Showcase, coming up in April at Snapdragon Stadium. So, Sean, as always, we appreciate the time. I know for you, I mean, you have to live for these types of times of year, right? I mean, the offseason is a long one. You get back in the football field this week. How's that experience gone so far? Thanks for hopping on.
Yeah, guys, great to be back with you. It's always awesome to be back out on the grass and doing football things. You know, obviously our sport's pretty unique with the amount of training that we do, running, lifting, et cetera, all of it, right? So to have the time to actually be on the grass and to work on the football skills and get the new staff members, new players, everyone gelling as a team. It's a fun and exciting time on the Mesa right now.
And with so many, transfers, a couple new quarterbacks as well for you, just how important are these reps going into, the season with getting extra reps here in spring?
Yeah, I mean, they're invaluable, right? You can watch all the tape that you want. You can do all the talking in the classroom setting, but you get good by doing. And this is the best team game that there is. And so you got to do it together, and you got to accumulate those reps. And the reps are the mother of all teaching, so we learn from that. We get to do it. The cadence of, the activities, I really enjoy this time of year because you get to be on the field. Then you have a day off, like how we had today, to review the tape, to make the corrections, then go back out on the field, eliminate the mistakes, make new mistakes, and repeat that cycle. So it's really conducive for learning, getting better. And again, it's a fun time of year.
Sean Lewis with us right now, San Diego State's head football coach. So you'll have a new quarterback under center. You bring in multiple veteran quarterbacks, and I'm excited for you to share with our listeners about their skill sets, maybe the similarities and even the differences. But Bert Emanuel Jr. has had a very good career. We saw him last year at Central Michigan. And then Jaden Denegal, who's out of Southern California, who played at the University of Michigan, where he won a national championship with the Wolverines a couple of years ago. What was it about these two players in particular that stuck out to you and your staff, and how can they impact this team this year?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of hit the nail on the head with both of them, right? Their experience, their maturity, number of snaps that Bert has taken, situations that he's been in, obviously the experiences and the repetitions that Jaden received as well while he was at Michigan. They're winners. They have the size and the stature that we covet. They both have a dynamic dual threat skill set that will be able to stress defenses with in a lot of different ways. So excited about the way that they have started, their process and assimilating with the team, learning our system, getting to really get a good, strong look at who they are and what their ultimate strengths are and how we can wire and build, this year's version of our offense to suit their strengths and all the players' strengths that we have so that we can be in the best position to be successful each and every single opportunity that we have to go out and compete.
Marquez Cooper was such a big part of your offense last year, another year where he rushed for over 1,000 yards, great career in college, replacing a guy like that who took a lot of snaps for you as running back. How do you go about doing that for this upcoming season?
Yeah, I mean, well, that process has been ongoing, right? Even last year with the work that Cam Davis and Lucky Sutton had been doing and continue to do, and excited about the trajectory of where they're at and the way that they've been working while they've been waiting. And then we brought back home Christian Washington as well, right? A guy who has had production, a guy who has played a lot of football. And so between the three of them, I feel like we have a very, very strong room with three different types of backs, with all of their skill sets complementing one another. So again, looking to build and have the three of them really be a three-headed monster for us this year as we go into the fall.
What has become increasingly prevalent but still new in college football is general managers within the sport. I think some people have described kind of college football like the professionalization, so to speak, of college football because of NIL and because of revenue sharing. So San Diego State, under your leadership, has now hired its first ever general manager. And Caleb Davis, who was at Notre Dame, do I have this right? In the release, it says he's 25 years of age, right? But one of the brightest minds, right? This young, bright mind who was at Notre Dame. We had talked about it before, Sean. You said, well, you're looking for a general manager. You're also looking for someone that has a wide array of skills that can kind of fill multiple positions on the staff. So for our listeners, if you wouldn't mind describing what goes into being a general manager, but also some of the additional roles that Caleb Davis is going to fill for your program as well.
Yeah, I think it's important, right, that everyone knows and understands, as you alluded to, right, like these positions of general manager and some of the other new positions that you see popping up on staffs all around the country are necessities with the way that our landscape has changed. But it's also important, right, that we know and understand that even though people share the same title of general manager at different spots, different universities, different colleges around, the nation. There's different duties that person's going to be doing. And so for us, where we've been able to stay innovative and stay out in front in this ever-changing landscape, Caleb's going to be able to come in and handle a lot of the roster construction pieces of it with, my leadership and my vision, so that we can shape and that we can build, the roster the way that we need to as we compete in this last year of the Mountain West, but also obviously the experiences that he has had when he was at Cincinnati and they were the highest ranked G5 team that went to the college football playoff, obviously being at Notre Dame and making it to the national championship. He knows what it looks like firsthand and how to construct a roster from a size, speed, strength standpoint of what that needs to be. He'll also be leading our college scouting department. So again, we'll still make our hay in high school recruiting, but having a college scouting department to be able to do advanced scouting better for our future opponents and to be able to stay at the forefront of everything that's going on in the transfer portal era. He'll help lead that. And then he'll also act as an ambassador within our community to help us be able to still go out and take advantage of all the robust NIL opportunities that are available in our great city here that really gives us a competitive advantage, being in a first-class city with a ton of population, a ton of exposure, and with the Aztecs being, the NFL team, the pro team here in San Diego, he's going to help facilitate some of those dealings for us as well.
Man, it's to say it now in college that football teams have GMs. I mean, 10 years ago, you're like a GM in college, like what? But now it's kind of like necessary with the climate that the college football is in. How nice is it, Coach, to see guys like Trey White and Chris Johnson for you on the field in Aztec uniforms in the spring?
Yeah, it's awesome, right? I mean, it speaks to the relationships that we have in our building, their belief in our culture and the vision of where we're going and the future that they're creating each and every single day, and again, it's so much is being made, right, about like all the things that are happening, right? But at its core, it's still about the people. It's still about the relationships. And it's about evolving and adapting and making sure that you're pouring into your kids each and every single day. And that's what every single member of our staff has done. I think our team has done an unbelievable job of fostering the bonds of connection, this past winter conditioning phase, if you will. And you've seen that show up this spring ball already, and having Trey and Chris's leadership really guiding the way with that, along with Tano Lutui and Ross, all these San Diego guys, right? That Southern California guys, Jordan Napier, right? That this place is home and it's important to them, and they've started something, and it's important to them that they finish the work that they have started, which is really, really cool.
Sean Lewis with us right now. Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. I know we can't get into specifics on recruits, but just we haven't even gotten to 2025, obviously, but you and your staff have been really active for the 2026 prep class, right? You've talked about recruiting, as you just said, in Southern California, San Diego counties, the counties that surround San Diego. Can you speak to how that plays out? Because, again, it starts with the high school level, and you're already at a point where you've got a number of verbal commitments, not just obviously for now, but for a year from now as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. I mean, it's recruiting's like shaving. You got to do it every single day. Otherwise you end up looking like a bum. Right. And so our staff has done a tremendous job. And again, I think the early commitments is a testament to the hard work that our staff has done, the leadership of Sean Dillon, our director of player personnel, who is still going to oversee and lead our high school recruiting efforts. We have a good idea of obviously the lay of the land, right? We're not playing catch up the way that we were a year ago when it comes to the high school recruiting. And so we're being able to get out ahead of some things, and we're able to operate on the natural timeline of the recruiting calendar and the pace at which all this is happening right now. And again, like, we want to be aggressive. We want to know exactly what it is that we're looking for, because we know our systems intimately. We know the character criteria that are going to be a fit for our style of play and for our San Diego community, so that, again, our base will be from Southern California, our hometown heroes, so that they stay connected to San Diego State. And our fans can know that they're going to know these players intimately. They're going to be able to grow with them and cheer them on each and every single home game at beautiful Snapdragon Stadium.
Sean, before you go, I wanted to ask you about the campaign you've had this offseason. You mentioned guys like Trey White, Tano Latuli, Chris Johnson, Ross on the offensive line. There are others that link the 619 campaign. We know about the importance of NIL and the work that Aztec Link is doing in retaining some of your roster for 2025 and beyond. I mean, how critically important is that for the now and the future success of San Diego State football, the support from the community to Aztec Link?
Yeah, it again is imperative, right? And again, I can't thank the community enough. Ask them to come compete with us at the end of the season as the winter portal window opened, and the community responded the way that they always have. And that has led to obviously momentum on the recruiting trail. It led to opportunities for other players to be added out of the winter portal. And there's another portal window that's going to be opening here, in about a month's time. And so again, the consistent support to be able to have the opportunities to facilitate that for our players, again, being here in San Diego, right? All the San Diegans are going to benefit from Aztec football being at an elite level, and it's going to take all of us within the community to do that. And when that happens, the way that we know that it will, it's going to be a tremendous opportunity for all of us to elevate in a lot of different ways. So again, can't thank Aztec Nation for all their support to our Link the 619 campaign. And whether you're an Aztec or just a San Diegan, you didn't have to go to SDSU to support our Aztecs, and can't thank everyone enough, and say thanks in advance for the support that we're going to get as we embark upon the spring portal window here.
Yeah, and it'll be here before we know it, the start of the season, even though, as Sean knows, there's a lot of work to do between now and August 28th when Stony Brook will be at Snapdragon Stadium. But if you're looking for more information on the upcoming season for tickets, you can always visit goaztecs.com. But Sean, we always appreciate the time. We're looking forward to the spring showcase at Snapdragon Stadium in April, and then seeing you, of course, throughout the course of the summer and next fall as well. So thanks for doing it.
For sure. Thank you. Go Aztecs.
All right. Sean Lewis, again, entering year 2 on the Mesa for San Diego State.
Love it.
Yeah, and the GM and the new quarterbacks, and yeah, I'm excited. Again, it'll be here before we know.
It's an important year too. Coming off of year 1 where you have to lay the groundwork for everything. Going into year 2, some big time players returning. I'm very curious to see about the quarterbacks that he brought in. Danny O'Neill did a nice job, but he was a true freshman last year.
Right.
So it's going to be nice to see some quarterbacks that, have some time in college under their belt. They might not have a lot of reps in games, but at least they have some time in college, right? With practicing and being in a program and, getting ready for, the college, game to play. And so I'm excited for all that.
Here's what I would say real quick, and then we'll get back to what John Seidler had to say on day 1 as Padres chairman, and Kevin Acee is joining us at 5:30. What I would say, and you heard me talk about Bert Emanuel Jr.
You love this kid.
And Jaden Danigal, who played at Michigan and won a national championship under Jim Harbaugh.
Uh-huh.
I think both will be tremendously impactful, because I think if Danigal is their quarterback ultimately, Bert Emanuel's getting on the field. He's got a ridiculous skill set. So whether it's a runner, whether it's a receiver, whether it's a quarterback, both of these players, in my opinion, if they're healthy, will play a huge role for San Diego State potentially in 2025. All right, John Seidler is the Padres chairman. What did he have to say about it on day 1? We continue to react after this on Jon and Jim.
Get ready to serve up some excitement with Major League Volleyball. Your San Diego Mojo are here at Viejas Arena, so you can get close to all the volleyball action. Get tickets starting at $15 at letsgomojo.com. That's letsgomojo.com.
San Diego FC!
Safe sleep practices for baby help protect her from choking, suffocation, and sudden infant death syndrome. Place infants on their backs at all sleep times, naps, and at night. Always place baby on a firm, flat surface with no sheets or blankets, pillows, sleep positioners, or toys. Avoid smoking around your baby. Babies can share a bedroom with parents, but not a bed. Bed sharing is the leading cause of death in babies younger than 3 months. Brought to you by the County of San Diego Health and Human Services Agency.
What a day. You know, sometimes the beauty of what we do, and I'm serious when I say this, is there's a lot of days we go into a show and we're like, well, we're going to talk about this. Gavin Sheets, as if anyone cares.
No, let's be honest, like John Seiler was today. We went into the show today being like, we got nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, but the good news is we said, well, we're going to catch up with Kevin. We'll talk to Sean Lewis. We talked to Jeff Grammer. So we knew we had guests that we were going to talk to. Like, then we said beyond that, like, are we going to talk about Aztecs in the tournament tomorrow? Are we going to talk about Padres spring training? Robert Suarez came to us. But then Kevin publishes this article from day one of Jon Seiler representing ownership as the chairman. And the quotes in here are so eye-popping. They cannot be ignored. They absolutely cannot be ignored. We'll talk more about it with Kevin Acee at 5:30. Now, I don't think Kevin's going to agree with our assessment necessarily of some of these quotes. But we both think, and we can go through them again, I mean, we both think that this isn't necessarily the way you want to represent yourself on day one, representing Padres ownership, talking about your 50-year fandom for the LA Dodgers, the fact that you bled blue and that you couldn't say beat LA when Peter initially took over representing ownership back in 2012 because you were such a diehard Dodger fan.
Yeah, that's where I have a problem with it. Obviously back then, did he ever envision becoming the chairman of the Padres, the control person? No way in hell.
Right.
No way in hell. But it does bother me that, he said these things today. I don't want to hear, if I'm a Padres fan, this is the last thing I want to hear. And we've been talking about this a lot during the break. Like, imagine if up in San Francisco, the San Francisco Giants sold and the owner came in and was like, yeah, I grew up as a Dodger fan and it really took me a while to start, rooting for the Giants and not root for the Dodgers anymore. But yeah, I bled Dodger blue for my entire life. Wouldn't go over well.
Yeah. And I honestly don't think it's going to go over particularly well here either. Now, maybe to a varying degree, but this isn't going to be received well.
Well, I do think that for whatever reason, and me and you, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills because
you feel like there should be further reaction.
I feel like this today, what he said was not a good thing to say on day one. And I'm seeing, well, at least he's honest. What do you want him to say? What I want him to say is not what he said.
Yeah, like, I don't know the best way. I've said this a lot. Like, you have to remember at the end of the day, the Padres are a business. So a business represents its best interests.
Right.
You've heard me say that before. Does McDonald's lead with the way that they curate their meat? No. You know what I mean? Like, like you're kind of protecting. That doesn't make sense, but you get my point. Like, does McDonald's lead with like, this is how many cows are slaughtered per year? Probably not.
Or does the owner of McDonald's lead with, I grew up eating Burger King all the time. And you know what? It took me about 2 or 3 years after I became the owner of McDonald's.
I actually even tried one.
Yeah, it's like really like McDonald's because I love Burger King.
That's a better analogy. That's a better analogy than mine.
I'm just saying,
but they're in the business of promoting their own brand.
Yeah.
Like you're looking out for, it's not a business of transparency. Don't get me wrong. There's a fine line there. I'm not saying anyone do something that they shouldn't do or be dishonest, but this wasn't some interrogation. You sat down with Kevin Acee about representing the San Diego Padres. It was a blank canvas. You could say whatever you want. If they come in to do a profile on me and Jim, on Jon and Jim, we don't have to answer specific questions. We can go where we want to go.
Yeah. And again, I don't know. I find it to be odd that he would say these things on day one. If anything, I want to hear him fully denounce the Dodgers. Okay. I want him to say borderline F the Dodgers. All right. If I'm a Padres fan, a diehard fan, I'm out there, I want John Seidler on day one to be like, our main goal is to win a World Series, which you did say, get past the team up in LA, and anything Dodger related, we hate.
I'm so glad you just said that, though, because remember, we also always say, it's not always about the Dodgers. It's about the Padres. It's not about Roki Sasaki and Blake Snell and the additions they made. The Padres have to worry about themselves, but they do it to themselves, Jim.
Yeah.
The reason I compare them a lot to the Dodgers is the way postseason played out. Now on day one of the chairman's ownership, I'm hearing about you can't escape it because they're bringing it to the forefront. They bring it to the conversation, not me.
You don't think that Dodger fans are going to be looking at this and saying to themselves, your owner is a Dodger fan? Now, again, he explained in this article that he is fully on board with the Padres. It is beat LA, blah, 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 right? And this was 12, 13 years ago, and he had to go through the 10-step process to get over being a Dodger fan. And, while he was still a minority owner of the Padres, okay, why are you saying these things? But the fact is, going forward, Dodger fans are going to be looking at this and having a field day. The last thing you want to do, like I said in the offseason when the Padres, and this was more or less because of sponsorships and they couldn't control it, right? Probably not a great idea to have pictures being taken working at a Jack in the Box, because guess what? We know the way social media works. We know how this thing works now. And those things will come back to haunt you. Just like I feel like these quotes could potentially come back to haunt, John Seidler and Padres fans, unfortunately.
The one thing I thought was funny was when he referred to it the 12-step program.
Yeah, it's so hard for me.
Well, no, so you're effectively admitting then being a Dodger fan is a disease. Is what he's saying.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
All right. On the other side, Kevin Acee with his reaction to speaking with the Padres' new chairman, John Seidler. And what do you have to say to Kevin? That's next, Jon and Jim.
Were you uninvited to game night? Do you play board games with the ferocious intensity of an iron-fisted oligarch? Have friends left game night asking, how do you sleep at night? Then you should get a mattress from Mattress Firm. They can help anyone sleep. Right now, during Mattress Firm's Upgrade Your Sleep sale, save up to $600 on top brands and get a free adjustable base. Get matched at Mattress Firm. Sleep at night. Restrictions apply. See store or mattressfirm.com for details.
All right, this update is brought to you by Anderson Plumbing, Heating, and Air. We'll start with Aztecs women's basketball. Tonight, 7:30 tip time. They'll take on Wyoming in the Mountain West Conference title game. Of course, if they win, they are heading to the NCAA tournament. Padres, Rockies, Cactus League play today. Padres lost 13-2. Score doesn't matter. Robert Suarez pitched a third of an inning, giving up 4 earned runs in the outing. And tonight at 6 p.m., about a half hour from now, it's the debut of SDFC Midweek Live with Adrian Garcia Marquez and Darren Smith, giving you an hour of SDFC talk from 6 to 7 right here on San Diego Sports 760. Make a move with Anderson and upgrade your water heater. You'll increase comfort and your home's value. And here's a hot deal. Get a free water pressure regulator worth $1,300. Get started at AndersonPHA.com today.
All right, Kevin Acee, thankfully you're with us right now. We've been reading your article. No longer anonymous, John Seiler takes over Padres with vow to continue trajectory towards the World Series championship. So Kevin back with us on Jon and Jim. I have to ask you about some of these quotes to get your reaction, Kevin, because to be honest, to be fully honest, me and Jim are like completely taken aback at some of these quotes. And I don't know if you expected us to react that way or not. Like, for example, for our listeners, if you missed it, for 50 something years, I was a Dodgers fan. We know this. Peter was a Dodgers fan for just as long, minus 1 year, because I'm 15 months older. He went on to say that for him, changing his fandom was more gradual than Peter. But then this quote, when the crowd started chanting "Beat LA," I couldn't quite bring myself to get that out. There was just a little part of me somewhere deep down inside. It's hard to push 50 years worth of experience out the window. I know that was all the way back in 2012 when Peter was part of that ownership group, but you spoke with Jon Seiler. Is any part of that surprising that he would share some of those details on day one as chairman? And thanks for joining.
But what part? I want to make sure I'm understanding where you guys are coming from, because you left out the last part of the quote, or the last part of the story.
Well, the last part of the story being that now he's fully all in, right?
That he very shortly after that, was able to bring himself to beat LA, and for the last 12 years has, when he's there, participated in the Beat LA chant.
Sure.
I just wanted to make sure that we were clear there.
No, very clear. But I mean, these are direct. I'm with you 100%. If you read the article in its entirety, you laid it all out. It's not like you're not painting a portrait other than what he said. But I mean, this is certainly part of the story, isn't it not? Is it not?
Sure, but no, listen, I just am wondering what you think the story is then, because to me it was a guy who was extremely candid about how he grew up, and that then now is a full diehard Padres fan. So I guess I didn't really see it as anything other than him being extremely candid. It would have been a lie for him to say anything else. And I would say that was the thing that stood out to me in talking with him. Is it very much reminded me of Peter Seidler's candor, not wanting to tell you too much, but almost couldn't help himself because just is a candid guy. I actually thought it was extremely, I I thought it spoke well of him. And I guess that was what my question was. Like, is it just the fact that he mentioned the Dodgers and that he was a Dodger fan? Like, I just was wondering.
Okay.
I'm trying
Real
to
quick,
understand what the
here's
idea
the understanding is I think it's okay. And correct me if I'm wrong. And maybe the transparency and candidness will be appreciated by a portion of the fan base. Maybe it's all of the fan base. I would say more from a PR perspective. The Padres are a business. Like on day one, it's one thing to say I grew up a Dodger fan. It's another thing to say I was a fan for 50 years and bled Dodger blue. And it took me a while, right?
With you more strongly.
Wow.
I couldn't disagree with you more strongly. And that's not to say that your opinion's not valid or that,
Sure.
hey, cool. This man was transparent. And as someone who gets lied to a lot,
sure,
I was like, wow. So I guess in a way I was as taken back as you were, right? But then I was like, well, how about that? Like, here's a guy who is telling you how it was and how it is, and he seems to be being honest. And I think I've got a pretty good BS meter. And I would tell you this. It's pretty easy to have one with the Seidlers. And I just thought, like, okay. I mean, because I would think that you were being naive if you didn't understand where the Seidler family came from.
Right. And yes, that is something that we all know, like the O'Malley family, the Dodger ties, like those are things that don't need to be said, right?
You
like
lead with
we know that it's there. I think Kevin, where like we both are coming from is I'm putting myself in the shoes of imagine hypothetical situation. The New York Yankees just got a new owner. And he on day one mentioned how he was a Red Sox fan for his entire life, bled Red Sox, colors, and then said, it took a couple years for me to actually root for the Yankees. I think that would not have gone over well in New York.
It took him a couple weeks, first of all. And I do understand, but I think you guys, just my take, you're getting caught up on the Dodger thing, which does speak to how deep that runs here,
Sure.
correct? Like,
Yeah.
right? The Dodgers, you shouldn't even mention them. I get that. But like, his freaking grandpa moved the Dodgers from Brooklyn. His mom owned as much of the Dodgers as Peter O'Malley, who ran the Dodgers for 30 years until 1998, when John Seidler and Peter Seidler were grown men. Like, to me, it was like, how refreshing was this? That he didn't like, the Dodgers, they didn't really matter to us or whatever, or wouldn't answer the question. I thought it was absolutely fantastic because I'm a huge fan of the truth. And it wasn't the only thing he talked about.
Yeah, and I completely get that as a reporter. Like, you want the truth 100%. So from like your standpoint, the transparency is amazing. I think I'm looking at it more from like a fan's perspective of.
I think that it is my opinion, and listen, on that, I am often wrong. It is my opinion you're wrong. I don't think that's how fans will react if they read the whole story and take the context. I do. Now, obviously, one thing that we've all learned now that we have access to everyone's opinions, right? There is no such thing as 100%. We're lucky if we get 70-30, right?
Oh yeah. No one can agree on everything. Like the sky's blue, nope, it's purple. Like totally get it.
You guys are going to have plenty of people that are agreeing with you and saying, "Man, Kevin really missed it there. Wow."
No, here's the thing, Kevin. It's not on you. No, because I read this article.
I'm talking about this conversation where they're like, "Yeah, Kevin doesn't seem to get it," or whatever, right?
Well,
like,
I was curious.
Wow, that was bad.
Well, that's why I asked it. I was actually very curious to get your thoughts on what he told you. I think it is very forthcoming. All you did was right on your conversation with John. I enjoy the piece.
I'm not taking it personally. I was talking about this conversation. People going like, "No, Kevin, Jon and Jim are totally on this." That's all. Listen, I wrote. Now there were a couple other things we talked about for different stories that are coming up in a couple weeks and stuff. But I put in almost everything he said because, well, the tone of the story, right, was the anonymous John Seidler. So I felt like it was important that people, could get as much of a taste on this guy. And I do appreciate, the funny thing is, as strongly as I believe that, gosh, I would really think people will see the context and appreciate it. I will not be surprised at all if I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, it's not about you being wrong. And again, it's like, I would just say when you consider you also consider the point where he's taking over, like the situation that the Padres ownership is in, the fact that a lawsuit was filed against him and his brother and the family, and the fact that we spent the offseason saying, how will we hear from John? What will he say? So my antennas are up because everything that's going to be printed or said, I'm going to put under a microscope. So when I see these are it's one thing to say, and again, maybe we're just parsing here. It's one thing to say, as you all know, my grandfather was the O'Malley family, but it's another thing then to describe the extent of your relationship with your biggest rival was in your life. To me,
I think it was great. And we will, the beauty of life and sports is we will choose to disagree.
100%.
I thought it was great because it wasn't yesterday. It wasn't a year ago or 5 years ago. And as I've written before, people have talked about him being at games increasingly over the years. And so if you take that context and you go, okay, and then you say, hey, I don't know, maybe it's the journalist in me. Maybe it's the wanting to hear the truth. Because and this would be separate from what you guys are saying about the PR angle. I would have a question. Hey, by the way, how did you ever make that transition? And guess what? Peter dodged that question for years.
Yeah.
Like Peter was on your side.
Right,
Peter
which I
would be
kind of get.
think.
Yeah.
Peter, yeah. Peter would probably be more thinking along your ways because, he really didn't want to get into that. He understood the hatred for LA.
Right.
And also, I was talking with John about this today, that was real. He was right. Peter turned a switch. Peter was a Dodger fan.
Mm-hmm.
I think their fandom had waned over the years, maybe with some of the things that had gone on with ownership. These are things that Peter had shared over the years and stuff that, it had gone through a couple owners. Things had gotten a little weird there, maybe not so great. But Peter's light for the Dodgers had dimmed. But once he became, one of the big owners of the Padres, he was Padres. And man, I have never seen an owner, not Dean Spanos, when they would play the Raiders, nothing. Never seen and this is when they played them 19 times a year. Peter was so geeked up for every Dodgers game. I thought it was incredible. It was awesome.
Yeah, no, and I think that's kind of like where we're at is Peter, he definitely earned the trust of Padres fans with his actions for sure. Yeah. And him being so, I guess, off-putting to any questions about the Dodgers, knowing hey, this is our biggest rival here. Padres fans hate Dodger fans. You gotta, it's like a read the room situation. That's why I kind of just am maybe John should have taken that route instead. I don't know, but we'll
what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'll stand by that. I just think that it was, man, I would be sad if people, because your point can be valid, and then so can mine about
100%.
I'd be bummed if people didn't go, well, I wish he wasn't talking about the Dodgers, but I also get it that he's an O'Malley. So, wow, that's kind of cool, man. We brought someone over from the dark side kind of thing. I don't know.
Yeah, again, it's I guess we'll get to agree to disagree here, Kevin. It's okay. We still love you. Let's talk about actual baseball now, Kevin.
Yeah, sure.
Today, score, doesn't matter, whatever. But in the game, Robert Suarez, only going a third of an inning, giving up 4 runs. He's not looked good in spring. You've obviously seen, all of Robert Suarez and his pitch selection and what he has done. How has he looked in spring, and is this a concern for the Padres?
I don't want to say it's not a concern because he's had 2 outings now. The first one where he couldn't really throw a strike. Today, the strikes he threw got hit. He is working on another pitch. I don't know how many times he threw it today. And it's a breaking ball. Look, this is the time of year that pitchers, and it happened the other day too to their pitchers, and it happened today to Peralta, who has looked really good, really good. This is the time of spring that this sort of stuff happens. So it's spring, and I can't get entirely worked up about it, but I cannot dismiss that. Now, because I saw Kirby Yates get worked in spring too, right? And back in the day, I saw Troy Percival when I covered them, the Angels get worked in spring too. And so I really don't know what to say about like what is this specifically that's happening, other than that Robert Suarez is in spring training.
Wait, say the last part of that. So. In terms of his,
I don't know whether I don't want to tell you, Robert Suarez is going to be fine because I'm not a pitching coach.
Right. Gotcha.
I just feel like it's spring training,
Sure.
and this is the time of spring that this kind of crap happens.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, 100%.
Because
That
he
makes
looked
sense.
sharp. I mean, look, I'd tell you, if you go by my eye and maybe even by what people have said, Wandy Peralta has been one of the best pitchers in camp. And I know that probably blows people's minds that aren't Yankees fans.
Right, that's interesting. Yeah, that is interesting.
So I guess going forward here, and we talked about this before, going into the season, your understanding is like ninth inning, Robert Suarez, he's going to be closing to start, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he is the guy because it's Robert Suarez, right?
Mm-hmm.
The thing that you have to like about Mike Schultz is he's really mixed that loyalty with unafraid and to make a move. And so I think that anyone, be that Jason Hayward, Robert Suarez, whoever, almost, has to continue to earn their keep, especially if you have Jason Adam and Jeremiah Estrada potentially as guys who could fill that role. But without a doubt, barring injury, Robert Suarez is the closer.
Yeah, exactly. And he's earned that. And he's being paid like it. Yeah. And he filled that role a year ago. And you just hope he's fully. And there's no reason to believe that he isn't in spring training, but you just hope the couple of those outings. It's not just today. There's that one other outing. Maybe it's secondary pitches, right? But he's really strong.
I do have a question too. Now he's reached up to 97, I think.
Gotcha.
I'm just going to check in on some things. He was at 95, 96 today. It's spring. It's the dead arm period.
Yep.
But again, you guys, your questions are all valid. So it is something to keep an eye on. But I mean, again, gosh, it's just like the opposite, right? Like Gavin Sheets kicks ass for 4 days. He's actually got a single today. You know what he did best? He blasted crappy pitches.
Right.
Like, so how excited are we? Now, hey, better than not blasting them, right? But I think Gavin Sheets earned his way onto this team is what he's doing. But it's like it's spring training, and it's the good, the bad. I don't know.
All right, I will just say this, because the lead is you need to read this article. If you're a Padres fan, you need to go to the UT or you need to pick up the paper, because if nothing else, it is a very interesting read on someone that, as the headline kind of suggests, was completely anonymous until now. I mean, there's not a lot of people that know what John Seiler looks like, have heard him speak, have seen him quoted. So if you're a Padres fan and you're looking for more on the current chairman of the Padres, you're going to find it in the UT, because Kevin wrote a lengthy piece here today that he published within the last hour.
And I know this is you speaking to John. Is there anything scheduled for him to speak to the rest of the media?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure he will speak one-on-one to a few people, but this man is like Eric Hassenda, maybe more so. This man does not want to. He's not Peter. He's just not. Peter loved that, right? John is like a lot of other owners, actually, but John's an engineer. Like anybody who knew him over the last couple weeks, when I would ask about him, would say that. Yeah, when you do actually sit down with him, you're going to know he's an engineer. Very smart. I mean, the question the situation I led with, where it was the big answer of the whole interview and he took time on it, was the only one where he didn't have look me in the eye and answer immediately and directly without stuttering. Like my transcription service, it was the easiest transcription that's ever been done. He speaks clearly. He just articulates his points. He is shy. And at least publicly, right? He is not interested at all in being in the public eye.
Kevin, appreciate it. Let's do it again Friday. Thank you for your honesty and transparency. We'll talk more about it on Friday, and appreciate you doing it as always.
That's all I've got. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Kevin. Kevin Acee is our Padres insider. Jim's back page next.
Hey players, things are about to get real here in San Diego with the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, where you can play your heart out and enjoy all the perks that come with it. Opening this summer, Jamul Casino Resort, the player's place. Learn more at jamulcasino.com.
My name is Kyle Tequila, host of the shocking new true crime podcast, Crook County.
I got recruited into the mob when I was 17 years old.
People are dying. Is he doing this every night?
Kenny was a Chicago firefighter who lived a secret double life as a mafia hitman.
I had a wife and I had 2 children. Nobody knew anything.
He was a crazy man. He was my father, and I had no idea about any of this until now. Listen to Crook County on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search Crook County to start listening.
All right, we got about a minute and a half or 2 minutes here. We're wrapping up the show. We went very long with Kevin there. Again, this had, I don't know if he took it this way, but this had nothing to do with Kevin. It's everything to do with what Jon Sider said. And I like I said earlier in the show, I will die on that hill of he should not have said that. Sometimes it's best to just not say anything. You know, being as transparent as possible sometimes is like not a good idea. Now, again, this isn't like a life or death situation. It's his fandom growing up. And, you know, a lot of people in this town didn't grow up Padres fans. That's totally fine. But I don't think on day one I'm leading with the fact that it was difficult for me to stop rooting for the Dodgers when I became a minority owner of the Padres, that I was a diehard bleed Dodger blue fan for 50 years of my life. And then also say that, you know, Peter was as well. And what Kevin said there kind of proved my point with him talking about Peter Seidler and how Peter never wanted to talk about that with the Dodgers. Never. And that's my point. You know, we know and we understand the history of the Seidlers, their ties to the Dodgers and the O'Malley family, right? We know that. And Peter understood that. He understood that talking about the Dodgers and his past rooting for them, probably not the best idea as the owner of the Padres. And that's all I'm saying about John Seidler. Probably not the best idea to talk about your love for the Dodgers growing up until the point where you finally stopped rooting for them when you became the minority owner. That's all. All right, tomorrow, no show. San Diego State takes on Boise State in their first round game against Boise State in the Mountain West Conference tournament. We'll be back on Friday at 2 p.m. So make sure you're listening then for when we announce the winners for the SDFC tickets. But coming up next, we have our brand new show that we are debuting right here on San Diego Sports 760. SDFC Midweek Live coming up next with Adrian Garcia Marquez and Darren Smith. Until then, have a great rest of your night, everybody.